What's up, internet world? Hi, Willie. It's
Sir.
nice to see you here. He's popping in with a fresh coffee, and that's partly why Willie's up all night, all the time, because he drinks coffee at 7 p.m. as an old man. That's a bold move, is all I'm saying. Welcome, everyone, to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stephan ROy, and joining me is Spade. Dude from Toronto is ill. I spoiled that, but we'll still do it right. But yeah, this is the show where we talk to like super interesting people such as yourself, and we go through the story of your life and we try to extract knowledge nuggets from your experience. Now, I'll give you a caveat. I was out late 2 days in a row for the first time since COVID, and I am wrecked like a motherfucker today. So we gonna run it. It might be a little sillier than normal, is all I'm trying to say.
Hey, let's do it, man.
With that, can you just take a quick second to just introduce yourself right quick for the people to see who you are? Don't go into too much detail, but the most important part is if you could let us also know where you start your life, because that's really important for the real opening question.
In terms of
Like
where I'm
born,
from.
like where you were at, like when you're like early life, like
Okay.
2 years
Okay.
old-ish, you know, like the early Spade.
All right. Okay. So yeah, my name is Spade. As you already know, some people call me the Shadow Man, and I was born in Etobicoke, Rexdale, but I grew up in my young life in a place called Woodbridge,
What, where,
which
I don't even know any of the places you just named. I'm not even gonna lie.
So yeah, man, like basically, if you know Toronto, Rexdale is like the west side of Toronto, outside of the city, starts getting a little, I wouldn't say suburbanish, but more housing, more apartment buildings, less of the urban city, and where I grew up actually is a suburb. It
Okay.
was a new suburb actually when I grew up there. And I've been here ever since, but I've been around the whole city.
So main takeaway, Toronto. We talking Toronto line. The big old
Toronto. People where I'm from, people call it the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area. So they'll
yeah.
say I'm from the GTA
'Cause I
because I'm
found out
not
like
from the
Toronto
city.
is like actually
Yeah,
just like a small part of what I would call
Yeah,
Toronto is
yeah,
the Greater Toronto area.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I
Because
would
you
include
got yeah.
Mississauga and Scarborough and
Okay,
I
okay,
would just
okay.
call
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
that
yeah.
Toronto. Because
Then
why?
you could say that's where I'm from. Then
But I'm
Toronto.
probably
So
not
yeah,
right. Like I'm just gonna say it. That's my like
yeah.
Montreal ass over here. Be like,
Okay,
all of
okay.
that's Toronto to me. When you look at the map and you zoom out, it's all one connected piece of city. All of that. It's just one
Uh,
giant sprawling like there's no breaks. It's just like Toronto just turns into and it's like it's huge compared to like
yeah.
Montreal in like size.
Yeah, it sprawls like from west to east, and then it goes up. It gets kind of more suburban, and you know what I mean. So, but yeah, man, like Mississauga, that's its own city. You got Brampton, you got Rexdale, Jane and Finch, North York. You know what I mean? There's like all these different little places that are kind of hovering around the
Mm.
city, and the city is right, by the lake over there, Lake Ontario, right? Obviously, and then I guess they built up. So I'm in one of these little suburbs that used to be like back in the day, it was like a cottage country, and that's where my parents bought their first house. And when I was a baby, they used to live in Rexdale, and then they moved to Woodbridge. I was born in Rexdale, but raised up in
Fantastic.
Woodbridge. You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
perfect because that's really where we need to be for my opening question. Plus, I do appreciate a good Ontario geography lesson because trust, we was not learning that shit in Montreal.
Yeah, straight. Yo, ask me about Quebec City,
Bro,
Montreal,
ask
whatever. I
me
don't
about
know.
Quebec City, and I'm like, I don't fucking know. But I can tell you about Montreal.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so the opening question, the proper one, is a bit more of a story. And when it lands, you can kind of take in whatever direction you want. And it all starts off with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes one time, and she's got her
right.
phone out, and she's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. I got a feeling, ooh. She vibing, she dancing, she doing her thing, and I look at her, and I'm
Right.
like, when in the fuck did this song become chores music, right? Because if you really like think about this track, run that back about 10 years, it's middle of the night celebration party music. You're jumping around
Yeah.
super drunk in circles. It's a big old vibe. Everybody's happy. Run it 10 years in the future. The song doesn't change at all because it's a song and they don't really change at all. But we as people evolve so much in our life that now we put this on when we're like working out or doing some other boring crap and we want to go back to those celebration times, which got me thinking about the cycles of life and the evolution of us as artists. Like these 20-year-olds right now be out there drilling, doing what they do, and they don't even know that that's their future dishes washing music, man. They don't even know it. They're just out there living and having fun right now. They don't know that when I heard Pop Smoke, bro, it was like I was wooing to washing dishes is what happens. It's the natural progression of life. And then if we think about like ourselves as artists and the interviews and the stories of artists, this is really weird phenomenon that happens where apparently everybody's life starts at like 11 years old or something, because that's when they first discovered hip-hop and that's when they first started writing and that's when they first all these things, and it's always at this like adolescent point and you're like, hold up, there's a whole lot of life that happened before that. And I say that because like chances are when you popped out of the hospital as a little baby, there was some songs being played up in the room and a little baby Spade was like absorbing that energy off time. You might not remember it, but it was probably happening. And I say that because I can remember being like 5 years old up in the apartment in Montreal, and in the daytime, my dad's got these gray boxes all over it, like the amp and the preamp and the tape deck and the radio with the wires going around with the ghetto surround sound with the speakers everywhere, and he'd be busting his Led Zeppelin tapes and things like that in the daytime, but at the nighttime it was the MC Mario club mix and all the techno shit straight from the clubs in Montreal. My mom's, though, it's more like discos and musicals and love songs and Disney and this whole other vibe. And my whole life growing up was this like hodgepodge of these different sounds and the pop musics and all this shit, all before I had any real control over what I was listening to in that next part where to start. So I think that's really where a lot of the story starts for everybody. So I was hoping, Mr. Spade, you could run us back to the youngest Spade you could remember being and tell us what it sounded like to be you in Toronto before you had any control over what it sounded like for you.
All right, so that's a very, very interesting story because I could remember stuff long time ago, back to when I was like maybe like 3 years old, and maybe I really do attribute it to my pops because he never censored anything around me, and he's a big fan of film, right? And growing up, the sounds in my life at first when I was really young were Terminator 2 and Terminator 1 and Star Wars. So John Williams and I forget the dude's name, forgive me, who composed the Terminator theme, but the Terminator theme song, like that was stuck in my head. That movie was drilled into me when I was 3 years old. I think 3 or 4 years old, like I used to have, this is back in the day when like they sold guns as toys, so I used to have a Buffalo Bill.
Fucking A, right? You're right. They did.
When I was 3 years old, I had the shotgun and a pair of sunglasses, and I used to ride on my tricycle, pretend like I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger, like I'm the Terminator, you know what I mean? And that was like the soundscape. And then Star Wars totally changed my life, and Darth Vader and the trumpets and so very symphonic. But at the same time, I come from a West Indian background. My dad is Guyanese and my mom is Trinidadian, Indian descent. So the Indian slaves who came to the north, and you know what I mean? So there's a lot of culture.
I can follow that because it makes sense that there would be Indian slaves that got mixed into the situation too. But honestly, I don't think anybody's ever told me about the Indian slaves in Trinidad and the North before. Like that has not come up in the history of my life.
That's a very underground history of the world. Not many people, when people actually growing up in the place I did, people didn't really know what my race was. To be honest, as a young child that didn't have a grasp of race or who I am, I didn't even know what my race was. There's, for lack of a better term, a lot of white people around here, but there was also a lot of brown people and black people as well. And my race is kind of like an intersection of African and Indian in the Caribbean. So I didn't know if I was black, if I was brown, like I didn't really know what I was, right? And on top of that, my religion is Hindu. So then growing up and seeing like Apu on The Simpsons, I was very self-conscious as well. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? What am I? You know, I had to really discover that growing up because I didn't know. And my parents didn't really like, have the mind to tell me about race. It wasn't a big fucking, you know?
So you're saying like, and this is because it's never come up since it happened, like the Apu thing really hit you bad?
Like, not Apu in himself. To be honest, I was always like, yeah, Apu. But then I when I went to school and shit, and people would make fun of like, oh, you know, dot on the head, all the 6 arms. I was kind of like, wait a minute, you know, as a young kid, you're like, that's my religion, you know, it's my religion. And it got me thinking, you know, is my religion dumb, or people, is that why they're making fun? You know, you're a little kid, you don't know how to process that, right? But I learned a lot about myself and my religion from Apu. I will, you know what I mean? Just as a kid, it's easy to have things explained through a cartoon, through comedy. And, you know, The Simpsons, even though it is an adult show, it tackles a lot of serious issues, especially in the beginning seasons, through comedy in ways that I understood as a young kid. I used to watch The Simpsons with my family. Every Sunday night we would gather. It's like a family thing. King of the Hill, Simpsons, da da da. That was at that time in the 90s.
That was a good era, though.
Yeah. That was the lineup every Sunday. That was like, as a family, we'd sit and watch that, you know? So, that's, but as far as music, on top of the movies there was Indian music, there was reggae music, both dancehall and roots reggae. And then there was like a fusion of that, like soca, chutney music. I don't know if you ever heard that stuff.
I could picture it more than, because like I know what soca is and I know what all the other stuff is, so I could kind of just picture them put together. But that's like wildly interesting. And was it like was music a big part of your life growing up, like when you were super young?
Huge. Any kind of music, man. I loved rock music when I was a kid. My dad loved rock music as well. Hip hop, I didn't really get introduced to until I was maybe like 9, like when Space Jam came out, kind of, you know, pretty much, because I had the Space Jam CD,
which was basically that is the cleanest hip hop album. Honestly, that's fire. And it's fire.
And you got Busta Rhymes and Method Man on there and shit.
And it's clean. But it's fire.
Yeah.
It's really dope.
It's dope. Yeah.
But like, before your 9 and hip hop comes in, like, okay, so like, how are you all like getting music? Are you able to access it yourself, or is it more like your dad plays it and you vibe with him type thing?
Yeah, it's like around me. So at home, it's more movies, right? But when we went to a lot of parties, like a lot of family get-togethers, weddings, birthdays, and they were playing soca music, chutney music, reggae music, hip-hop music, disco music, Stevie Wonder, like music from the 70s, you know, like it was a whole humdrum of everything, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't a lot of like rock music or pop music. It was more like African black music and Indian Indo-Caribbean music,
right?
If that makes any sense, you know, so real West Indian stuff.
All right, so basically you're getting exposed to music via like, you know, whatever's at home, via movies, which is super impactful. Evidently, you've mentioned 3 movies that hit you proper with music so far, so super impactful. And then the fact that your culture just had you banging around to parties left, right, and center that had a lot of music playing. So collectively, that's how. So you're not like necessarily seeking out music so much as it's just a constant present in your life. And then you get to. At this point, do you want to be any kind of like a singer, or dancer type? Are you like already like practicing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would. I really wanted to play guitar, but like as a young kid, like a really young kid, you just pick up a guitar and say some shit, you know. So that's what hey, look at me, I'm jumping around, you know what I mean? I love the song "Bad to the Bone" and you know, "Born to Be Wild." That was my favorite song as a kid. So I'm singing "Born to Be Wild" all the time. I don't know what the fuck, but you know, I read that. That's what I like.
It was in that movie. It was in a whole bunch of movies for a while.
Bad to the Bone was in Terminator. Born to Be Wild, I don't know if it was in Terminator. But,
I don't know if it was in Terminator, but when we were young, there was like
probably in some
5 or 6 movies that were like huge that used like Born to Be Wild as like it.
Oh,
it was like Gorilla. One of them had monkeys and shit. Like it was just all over. It was like
there's all kind of crazy shit going on in that.
But that
time.
song was like the classic, like, we're going on a fucking road trip now part of the
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And so you guys had a guitar?
My pops had a guitar. He didn't really know how to play. I honestly don't know where that guitar came from or why it was there, but we had a guitar. Like I said, like my dad did some acting actually in the 70s. He was doing some television acting and stuff. And like I said, a lot of movies. From the get-go, I wanted to do something with entertainment. I wanted to either make music or direct or film or act, or I just wanted to do it all. You know what I mean?
So yeah, you're a young one and you're caught up in the movie world and you want to be everything at once. And so you're just highly ambitious with it. Yo, hold on. Shout out We Speak English Good with a raid. That's when the people from the next stream come and invade your stream. So 9 people just joined us and spiked our little viewer count up to an over 10 number. So shout out Ziggy in Korea and Mighty and Moving Dutchman and Reina Mystique and Mike of We Speak English. Yo, Mike, you got to hit up Spade and get him on your show, is all I'm saying, because he does them interviews too. He's a super interesting guy. We're like 15 minutes in, we learn culture on shit. It's been dope. And so, yeah. So the movies and shit, do you actually get to doing stuff like writing little scripts or anything like that, acting and all of that?
Yeah. That didn't come later in life until like high school times was when I actually put it into practical use in school. Like before that though, like I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Like when I was younger, really young, kind of like, I want to make movies, you know, when I'm like a little kid, 5, 6, 7 years old. But when you go to school and you learn a little bit and you're like, okay, well, I got to be like a, you know, I don't know, a fireman or the police or, you know, a computer guy or, you know, whatever, just a job, right? I didn't really think it was feasible for somebody like, but also you got to understand this is like 1990s and early 2000s. So not even everybody had a computer yet, right? Not even everybody had like a camcorder yet. I was lucky my pops had a little camcorder.
Bro, you guys had a camcorder? That's ill.
Yeah. He was, like I said, he was big into this shit, right? So, but I would like, I had all my little toys and shit, and I would like, you know, just set up a scene and, you know, mess around with it. Like I never really made anything serious as a young kid like that, but I always just tried to do things because growing up, I had the special edition version of Star Wars, and at the beginning of every one of those films, there's a little making of featurette with George Lucas, and it shows like a little thing. And I was like, yo, that's actually pretty cool. It shows him with the miniatures and filming the shit. And I was like, oh, damn, yo, that's how they did it. And it didn't click in my mind when I was little, but I'm like, yo, somebody made that. You know what I mean? Like on screen, you just think, oh, it's just there. But when
you may have just made you may have just made the best defense for the special edition of Star Wars I've ever heard in history. Because that's like an ill reason for it existing, right? Like if it can inspire young people to want to get into filmmaking, fuck what people think about the cut. That's ill.
Yeah, like here's the thing when it comes to film, right? There's an objective film standpoint, and then there's like a creative standpoint. Do you like the story? Do you like what happened? That's like objective, you know what I mean? But like from a filming standpoint, like what he did pushed the boundary. It created digital cinema. So you can't say that that's bad because he created a whole new medium for people, right? So objectively, it's a masterpiece, but content-wise and creativity-wise, that's objective to anybody. Art always is, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a wild, like, I feel like objectivity is based on our understanding of facts. So it's like...
Yeah, your relation to the work of art.
So,
right?
like... we could have conflicting objective realities in the same space. I mean, it's a bit of a mental gymnastics to get there, but look at the right and the left and the dynamics of U.S. politics. It's a perfect example of objective realities being completely in contradiction. So, but I do believe that when it comes to like the technique side of things, there just really is ways to evaluate if things are done sloppily or not, but it's super hard to measure any of it.
thing is, when I went to university, because I went to university for film, right? For film theory, which is critical analysis of film. And a lot of my courses also had to do with critical analysis of all different kinds of art, different mediums of art, and also exploring art in a digital space. This was pre-Instagram, Twitter. It was Twitter and YouTube time. So a lot of very, like, this was after Soulja Boy, right? But before Instagram. So like a little pocket there, you know what
Like
I mean?
virality was now a thing.
That was what I was studying in school. And because like a whole thing was because of this surge of everybody's opinion now is going to be able to permeate the space, right? Where before it was only critics and artists, now we have to hold to our objectivity, because since things are subjective, there's 6 billion people on earth, there's 6 billion different opinions about one subject. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then I got into album reviews and I realized that I don't know if how much I believe. Oh, you know what it was really? It was the contests. And trying to judge a contest proved to me that how do you actually create a scorecard that 5 people will agree on the definitions of your metrics? So is a bar dope? Is an example of that. I can give you a science thesis on why objectively a bar is not dope, and then you can do the same thing and tell me it's dope. And then it's like, is there really objectivity in art? Is a real question I have, because I don't really believe there is. It's just what is commonly accepted as objectively good based on society and now.
Yeah, there's definitely a level, I think. It's like a film is different than a rap, because a rap, you can hit all the marks on a rap and it can be like, okay, that was okay. Like there's a little something else to it that makes you go, oh, you know what? I'll take that back. With anything, you know, you could hit all the marks on it on an objective standpoint.
Yeah.
And to be honest, what they taught us, or how they taught us to rate it with films, was if something meets all the levels objectively, that's probably a 5 out of 10, because it's met it halfway. Now the rest of it
I
is
like
taking
that.
it.
I like that
You
a
see what I'm
lot.
saying?
Yeah, because a lot of
So,
shit hits the numbers, but then just because I don't know anybody's gone to school for this. I didn't even know you could go to school for this. So I'm sitting here going, fuck, there's people that went to school for what I'm amateurly doing on the internet. That's a wild thought. But so how do you evaluate the next 5? Like, that's the part where I'm like, how do you all agree on that's exceptionally a 10 on 10? Okay, take Elder Rings right now. The whole world has decided this is a 10 on 10 game for some reason. And that would arguably be objective, because the whole world is agreeing. I promise you, I don't think it's a 10 on 10 game, and I haven't played it yet.
Well, again, it depends now. Do you like fantasy? Well, okay, it depends. Can you be objective? Because some people will be like, I don't like fantasy.
No,
so
I could be like hella objective, but we're saying 10 on 10, greatest of all time. This is what people are saying. I'm like,
I haven't played the game personally,
but I've also seen people criticizing the end game. So if people are able to criticize the end game, how is it a 10 on 10?
Now, here's the thing. Like,
10 on 10, right? That's perfect on every single front.
Yeah. The thing is it could be flawed, because nothing is perfect. So still you're going to have flaws, but sometimes some flaws, like some of the pluses outdo the negatives. You see what I'm saying? Like, it'll equal out. Like, I was watching a movie the other day and there was really shitty CGI, like really bad CGI, borderline, like it ruined the movie. I know a lot of people would probably say, as soon as I saw that, the movie's ruined. But the rest of the movie was so good, and the CGI was only for maybe 2 minutes, that I'm like, can I really, like, I can't, the rating scale that I have in my mind, I'm like, I can't really take away points. So even sometimes when I rate something from an objective standpoint, I'm surprised at the rating I give it. And I'm like, wow, that was worse than I thought it was. Or I'm like, wow, it's actually better than I thought it was. Maybe I should, but then after a certain point, after the 5, that's where the personal feelings come into play a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Because, I'll tell you, like, another part of my experience with this, and this is just, again, like, we'll go back to, like, music, but shit, this is so cool.
Of course, yeah.
But, like, if I were to give an album review grade in 2017 with all of my objective skills, it's based on my knowledge set of what's good and bad, right? So as like, shout out Governor Burrows who says, "What's up, Spade?"
Oh, what's good? What's good? Salute, salute.
And as time goes on, my knowledge of nuance changed. So all of a sudden, I'll give you an example. My ability to give Eminem fives across the board has diminished greatly over the years because my knowledge of a lot of shit, like I think of Essay Leon's A Book of Human Language or whatever it's called, and that shit's one of the most diversely weird-ass art piece albums of creativity you're ever going to hear. And after you hear that, other shit's like less creative. So now it's like the amount of data points I've collected has enhanced my quote-unquote objectivity because now to even impress me, it's harder. Like you can't impress me with good. So I guess that's why I'm like, it has to be mostly subjective, even in our efforts to be objective. And this is just linguistics maybe, but like, unless there's like, if you study all this shit, you are now qualified to be a critic.
I mean, anybody. Here's the thing: anybody can be a critic, but when you listen to somebody's opinion, sometimes you want to check their credentials. Does this guy know what he's talking about, right? If someone's going to critique you on how you're working out, let's say,
facts.
Interesting. Is he a bodybuilder? Like, how in shape are you? Are you a bodybuilder? Do you exercise? Who are you to tell me, right? So, like, if I'm going to tell you about film, and I'm pretty arrogant in my opinions about that, right? Who am I to tell you about film? Well, I studied it for 4 years in school at a university level. I've made films. My dad is an actor. I have an extensive background. So, okay, maybe I know what I'm talking about rather than just a guy who, I like this movie or I didn't like this movie. But at the same token, you got to respect both of those opinions the same way, because one is, here's a guy that's involved in the making of and knows a lot of the mechanics of it, and here's a person that's just taking it on face level. So you got to distinguish between those two when you're judging something, right? And I think that's very important, because you can't say that, you like this, well then you're dumb, or like you don't understand this. You have to wait for the person to make those connections. It does come with a certain level of maturity, I think, as well, but it also comes with a level of how people are with themselves and how they search for things and how they relate with content, because sometimes people aren't really too critical of it. They're just looking to be entertained, right? And that's fair. It's not bad, but it doesn't mean that we should lower our expectations.
It's also like an education thing. Like, I'll be honest, it wasn't until I started watching video essays of guys critiquing movies that I even knew what was I didn't know what was good or bad. Like, fucked if I cared.
Word.
It's like I could watch 17 shots in a row and y'all will have discussions about good and bad, and I'm just left with which ones caught my eye. And that's often not always the good ones, right? Or like the nuance of the first time I watched The Godfather, I was like, this shit's trash, to be honest with you. Because it's kind of trash unless you really care about it. And I don't mean that it's not one of the greatest movies ever made. Because as an adult with nuance and understanding of cinematography and now I'm like, it's a GOAT. But like the first time I watched it, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not even lying.
Exactly. Like when I watched it for the first time, I had to seek it out because I wanted to watch it. But I wasn't watching it to be entertained. I was watching it as, everybody says this movie's sick. Let me sit down and be patient and see what's so dope about it and analyze this and be like, oh shit. But if you're just sitting down, you're like, I want to watch a mobster movie. I want to see some gunshots and action. That's not the movie, right? Because this is a movie where you got to sit down. It takes time. You got to pay attention. It's like, do you want to eat a hamburger in your car, or do you want to sit down and eat a steak and a baked potato at a table and have your wine and stuff? It depends, right?
That's a cool way to put it, especially because you got 9 hours of Godfather when you really run it. And shout out Broad Magician XP, who's also
salute.
That's
yes,
cool.
Sir.
So yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the way you look at movies and stuff, and that's an interesting way to put it. Credentials matter. I still think it's subjective, but at least we can be objective about whose opinion should maybe be taken more seriously. Like, I disagree with Anthony Fantano all the time, but like, that guy knows way more than me. So how the fuck could I like really check him? Like, he's in it.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah. It's like if I were to speak to a builder about a house, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This guy built the house, not me. I'm not a builder, right? I can't tell you, yo, build it this way.
but you
If
can
I'm gonna
say you
hire
like
somebody,
that
you know what I'm
shit
saying?
better.
But exactly. But I could say, oh, I like this and I don't like this. It doesn't make my opinion like doesn't cancel out my opinion just because I don't know what I'm talking about. It's still valid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think,
And it's the same thing with a work of art.
and I think that's like, again, it's like the expertise factor is super interesting. Like the biggest problem with social media is nobody know how to recognize an expert when they be speaking.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of just take people, if they sound like they know what they're talking about, then they know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? And
So
yeah.
yeah, it's just the charismatic, well-spoken people. Yo, grammar's mad important on social media. Way more important than in
Yes.
regular life. Like you don't even need that good grammar at work as you need when you're arguing with motherfuckers on a Facebook comment thread.
Yeah, word up. Word up, man.
All right, so you like kind of discover hip hop then with the Space Jam. That's like you're kind of 9, 10ish at that point.
Yeah. I wouldn't attribute it wholly to Space Jam. Like that was like a part of it, but it was
Okay.
mostly my older cousins. And then that led me to buying the Space Jam CD. You know what I mean? Like kind of like try to figure out what they were listening to. Because my older cousins were always listening to like some crazy, like I didn't know what it was, right? But because like, and it was Wu-Tang Clan, that's what they were listening to. But because it had like movie clips in it and shit, I was like, oh, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? And I tried to find it, right? So I was going searching, and what I ended up doing was learning hip hop like through the mainstream. And this is like when OutKast was big, Little John, 50 Cent was coming out,
So
Eminem
good.
was
So
in his
good.
prime-ish, you know what I mean? And I was like, okay, yo, these guys are sick. But then when I stumbled into the past now, because I reached like, past all that shit, DMX was going on as well.
Woof.
So I got into DMX's past.
Bro, this is
Exit,
like my inception point at music. This is when I got into rap.
like Exit Wounds. Like I saw that in the cinema. Like I seen some movie with Steven Seagal and DMX where they're fighting Jet Li and shit. Like like,
I remember that shit. Is that a Cradle to the Grave and all that shit was popping up? Damn,
Yeah.
that's high school, man. That just brought me back.
It was a crazy time. And then after that, then I started discovering Wu-Tang Clan, Tupac, Biggie Smalls.
So when you say discovered, how did you discover them?
So I had a cousin who was 2 years younger than me. Shout out to Killa. And his older brothers had all these rap albums, and he would just come in, we would just talk, yo, did you hear this sound? He would be like, yo, you know about Too Short? And I'm like, no, I don't know Too Short. And I'll go on like Kazaa or Napster or some shit and like search, yo, Too Short. And I would download a whole bunch of Too Short songs, make a CD, you know what I mean? I don't know, like, how legal, what the legal remedy, but,
Bro, we're in Canada. We're fine. We're not in the States. We're not.
Yeah,
and it's
no, I'm playing. I'll play it. 20 years past.
Can you imagine though? Like,
they're like, yo, this motherfucker.
turns out that's still on the books.
Yo. But yeah, that's how I got into it. I would like go on those sites and like,
Oh my gosh!
listen. I
Don't
would go on Amazon.
download
I would
the
go on Amazon.
EXCs. Book up the family PC.
Oh, bumper ass. Nah. I learned my lesson with that one. Or, there was a thing going on where you would download a file. It would be whatever rap song, and it would be like a guy talking like Bill Clinton about like, download this from da-da-da.
Yes! Yo,
I did not have sexual
I read a book about that motherfucker. They were like the pirates that were like jacking the CDs, and like it was a whole thing.
Yeah, it was a whole big yeah. And I just remember every song I'm downloading. I'm like, what the fuck is Bill Clinton on this shit for, man? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that was good times. Okay, so we got a question. Just quick, because this is great shit. But other than Hit 'Em High, what was your favorite track on the Space Jam soundtrack?
that's hard. Basketball Jones with Barry White and Chris Rock. Rest in peace to Barry White. And then it's between that and Buggin', because Buggin', like Bugs Bunny is rapping on that shit. Come on, man. Like, that's ill. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's amazing. All right,
Yeah.
so you part of that whole we got access to the downloadables from the era because homeboy got the computer. Bro, I remember this shit. I was the guy who was buying the $5 CDs of customs because I didn't have access yet. So like I remember that era fucking proper. Um,
Yes, sir.
and so you were kind of were you like at that point like wanting to starting to get into rapping or anything, or was it?
Yeah.
And so were you like writing bars or how tell us a bit about like that transition for you from like fandom into I'm gonna go do something with it.
So it started with, let's see, like learning the lyrics of like my favorite songs. And that's how I kind of learned a little bit of like how to write a rap, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like I would listen to like Tupac and be like, oh, that's where the rhyme ends. So like I'll stop writing where the rhyme ends and then I'll start writing my new line and end it where the rhyme is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I slowly kind of put it together from there. And then I would just like practice, and I had like this little tape recorder with a microphone. It was like my sister's toy, you know what I mean? And I would just like be like, okay, let me hear how I sound, rap. But I was like a little kid, you know, so I'm like, oh, I sound like a little girl and shit, you know. I'm like fucking 12 years old, voice ain't deep yet and shit, right? But then like when I was like in the eighth grade, one of my friends was like, yo, you wanna rap, you wanna rhyme? Oh, we'll record at my house. I got this program. So just wrote a bunch of verses and just recorded some shit and just got better and better and better basically. And then people at school found out, okay, yo, you rap, oh, I'm gonna battle you. And then people like it got serious to like, oh, you rap, yo, fuck you, I'm better than you, I'm gonna beat you up and shit, like, yo, what the hell? And then it would turn to like some real shit, like, yo, rap and then I'm gonna fight you type of shit. Like, what the hell kind of shit is this? But that's kind of how I got into it, you know what I mean?
That is so different than my reality where nobody's ever threatened violence on me in relation to rapping.
Yeah, man, yo, like it was like the first. I remember, like in high school, we were battling, and like these guys got mad, and then they like jumped my friend after, and then they jumped me, and they jumped me. They took my shit from me, and like I had to retaliate on that after. You know what I mean? Like I had to come back because that's what it was. And then if you didn't do that, like there's no social media and shit. And that happened in school, right? So people see that and whatever. Like that's bullshit. That's little kid shit that I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But it happened, right? And that's how hip hop was you would just get G checked all the time everywhere you went. Especially me as a little brown kid. I got glasses on. I'm fucking rhyming about Darth Vader and shit. People are like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? And that happened a lot. So but it made me go harder in a lot of ways too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine if people were jumping me because my rhymes weren't where they needed to be, I might attack back with better rhymes. As I understand, that's kind of how it was going down in New York. But yeah, so you're doing that, and that sounds really more intense than I was expecting. But at the same time, like honestly, the number of people who
it's the truth.
Look, here's the thing. I mean? I can't say that I haven't talked to people who haven't got the shit kicked out of them for rapping. Not one of them said it. Like,
Word.
It's like, I mean, I feel like people have alluded that shit like that goes on, but often people, I guess, don't get that direct with it. Like, maybe it isn't other people's experiences. I don't know. But like half the times, especially in the Canada side, it's like, bro, we were banging on the lunch tables, recording our little mixtapes, and we started performing at this and that's. And it's like,
yeah, Toronto, man, we thought we were New York in those days, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember like DMX got robbed down here, 50 got robbed down here. A lot of people were getting robbed up down here. There was a lot of dangerous spots like in the early 2000s, like where I used to go for like, after when my parents were at work or whatever, I would go with my cousins, you know what I mean? Like babysitting, for lack of a better word, right? You know what I mean? In Rexdale, Jane and Finch area, like there was a legit war going on. Like it was dangerous outside, you know what I mean? Like there wasn't cameras. People didn't have cell phones everywhere. There was just police patrolling. And I'm not saying it's like it was fucking crazy, like you're gonna get shot just walking down the street, but there was a lot of violence in those times, and you had to know to be careful. And a lot of it, I can't lie, it did circulate in the hip-hop community and the reggae dancehall community, and there was a lot of shootings at Carribean and stuff. Like it was a pretty crazy place compared to a lot of the other places, like, you know, the history of it anyways, you know what I mean?
So like you really were just like exposed to all of that. Because I mean, we've had conversations where you're
Yeah,
like, these motherfuckers just rap shit, but they don't know shit. And you're like, no, I mean,
it's true.
I
Yeah.
really be knowing shit, is what I'm hearing you say. Like I've had to
Yeah.
experience things in my life where when people talk about it in their bars, it doesn't feel like they know what they're really saying or the consequences of it. You know, like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, when you talk, it's the same thing with how it goes to criticism, right? It's like if you seem to know what you're talking about, you probably know what you're talking about. But if you come across like you're just spewing facts from a book and jargon and you're just buzzwords, then it's like, yo, this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And
is that how it comes off? Like when people be wildly dropping the gang shit and they like haven't lived it. Like when a marketer just drops a bunch of buzzwords and
yeah.
that's an interesting parallel I've never connected before.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when someone comes out of a party, right? And they're like, yo, that shit was lit, man, you know? And then it's like you see an advertisement and it's like, book with us, it's lit. It's like it's not the same thing. You can tell it's disingenuine, you know, it's just using that to get to you. You see what I'm saying? Like it's an inception, you know what I mean? That's the conspiracy right there, you know what I mean? But it's real, and marketing and shit, like they know it, right? And it's a label technique that the underground has caught on to, but I don't think they understand that they know what they're doing.
Bro, the
You know?
underground be wildly, and okay, I'm not gonna complain about the underground a lot, but the underground be wildly like the most pop shit I ever done seen. Like it's like they criticize pop stars for having checklists of things they do, while following checklists to be in a
Yes.
clique. Like it is wild. I almost stopped reviewing indie rap albums. Like a lot of like, I'm not saying Locksmith, but a lot of the guys who want to be Locksmith, like I can't touch it. Like they all literally rap about the
Yeah.
same bullshit. Like almost
Exactly.
the same
Exactly.
jokes. It's like because they don't listen to each other, so they don't know that they're all writing the
Yeah.
same fucking puns.
You wouldn't go see Chris Rock if he told the same jokes as Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't go see Eddie Murphy. Like they wouldn't be legends
And
if
as
they
a
all did the same
caveat,
shit.
I
You
don't
know?
literally mean everyone. I mean, when you peruse the random realms of indie rap, you kind of don't. There's like a lack of self awareness, like
Definitely.
in
Oh,
in
definitely, man.
the in this purity of underground music being unsigned, being some kind of trophy, and thus the signed people are evil or something. And it's just like there's a lot to
It's a
criticize in a 360 deal. But like, bro, you own the masters of nothing. Like you own all the
yeah.
masters of $8. Congrats, my guy.
Yeah, it's a big hubris. It's a very big hubris because of what it was. And it's evolved so much recently and become something else. And a lot of people still they want to hold on to what it was. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
spitting it
It's like,
facts. That's all facts
yeah,
to me.
yeah. And it's like what I was saying about, okay, yeah, you know, I took my lumps in the past and I came up rough and whatever, but like I'm not going to expect that of the newer generation. I'm not going to expect that of people that came after me. I can't even expect that of my own peers because you know what? During that time, a lot of what I did, it's because I was hanging with older people and I was seeking shit out. And like I made, you know, everybody makes their mistakes, but rarely did I run into other people like me. When we did, we either clicked up, we ended up bumping heads. But I don't expect that to be the culture anymore. Things move
Right.
forward. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Also, it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but like, it's everybody that likes hip hop now. It's not a
Yes.
subculture, it's pop.
It's like rock. Yeah.
It
It's like what happened to rock and roll, basically.
facts. And so, like,
Yeah.
when you have this, hip hop used to be cultural mentality, right? Frankly, if you're not even from New York, I don't even know what you're saying. You inherited some shit that you
There you
imported.
go.
It's not hip hop what you do. It's probably a thing that is similar. It's a cousin. That's a big conversation I'd be having with my New York's homies though. So like, don't think this is just me talking up my ass. Um, but
Word.
like I think what we do in Montreal shouldn't even like we should just come up with a new word for it. Like the all the cool places came up with new words for their subgenres, and like that actually
Yeah.
helped differentiate it from it. But like the number of people I see that are just grabbing classic samples, throwing on a boom bap beat, and trying to do impressions of New York flows is wild. Because the New York guys that have been there since '94 are still there rapping, and you guys might not know that, but like they all still rap, and
they're there, man. It's
their flows are
and
pristine.
you can't touch a dude who's like a Method Man, a Red Man, you know what I mean? Even RZA dropped an album recently. You know what I mean? Havoc and Styles P dropped an album recently. Jadakiss been consistently dropping albums. Pretty sure even Sheik Luch has a mixtape that dropped recently. You know what I mean? There's so
But bro,
much. And
also,
they
all
got
the
skin in the game. You know?
imagine all the underground. I've been learning about the underground in New York.
Yeah.
So you just got to imagine.
That's a whole other,
So like there's thousands and thousands of NYC rappers be busting out that NYC flow on top of all the rest of the world busting out that. It's just wild to me to watch it all play out. All I have to say, so you start to like bust out your own music back in the day, kind of with your boy, and you guys are cruising around. You're navigating the streets of Toronto, which arguably are hard. Even though like we think Canada, we think whatever, but nah, I've always like understood that like Mississauga and shit might not be like go there by yourself places if you don't know where to go. That's actually the reputation I got from it. I don't know how true or founded it is. That's my like I was basically
I don't
like
think Mississauga. I would
Scarborough,
say Mississauga.
maybe Scarborough. One of those.
I would say
somewhere.
Yeah, maybe Scarborough.
Bro,
like,
in my head,
places,
I couldn't even tell you on a map where they are. I just know the names, and like people were like, "Bro, don't go there." I'm like, "Okay." I mean, my plans weren't really to, but
word.
Like, and then you watch all the like fucking YouTube shit where it looks kind of like harsh in like the current music scene and shit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know Toronto's geography like that. Anytime I've been there, it's near Yonge Street, which I imagine is pretty fucking not that, you know.
It's like a tourist. It's like a tourist area, you know. Like I've been around. I've been all over, almost, you know, everywhere in the GTA in the city, you know. So, you know, I'm the shadow man. You know, people might not have seen me, but I was there. You know what I'm saying?
So are you like as a teenager then like participating in shows or like getting involved in events, or is it more of like
No, I had no idea how to even break into that, to be honest. I was just literally rapping, you know, on the block, on like the sidewalk where everybody smoked at high school. Walk up, people are just rapping, you know, someone's playing a beat on like their phone speaker, like their little Motorola Razr phone speaker or whatever. Sony Ericsson is what I had back in the day.
Good days.
Yeah, you know. And yeah, we just used to freestyle, smoke weed, you know. It wasn't nothing serious, but then I remember what ended up happening was I started taking film, and in the film class we had those old one piece like iMac computers. You know, they had like the transparent backing. There's like an egg.
Yes.
You sit, you know.
Oh, like the ones where they like heavy marketed with the colors and shit. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're in Zoolander. They're trying to get the files out of the computer, trying to break open the computer, you know. But yeah, so on that had GarageBand, and I was like, oh, let me see GarageBand. So I loaded up an instrumental. I was like, oh, I could rap over this. I just used the mic straight out of the computer, and I recorded like a 15-track mixtape over a couple like Mobb Deep beats, D Block, Wu-Tang beats, right? And then I asked my teacher, could I do this at lunch? He's like, yeah, sure, come in. You know what? He actually ended up seeing what I did, and he's told the music department, and they gave me an award for it. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't even mean for that to happen. I was just making it for my own purpose, you know? And
yo, hold on. Can we shout out your school? Like, yeah,
that's some
ill school shit. Like, how often do you hear like, yo, the teacher intervened and actually did a dope ass thing? That needs to be rewarded, you know?
Yeah, you know, shout out to my teacher, Mr. Levy. You know what I mean? Like, he was a good, all things considered, he's kind of a weird dude. You know what I mean? I won't lie, but you know, he's a good dude. No, he's a good dude. He's a good dude, man. I had a couple good teachers in that school. I went to school at a place called Woodbridge College. I don't know if I should shout them out because I don't know how, you know what I mean? There's a lot of drama there, but
you know what though?
But I knew some good, but there were good people.
It's
there.
more
There
that this is some dope shit, you know? Right? It's more this specific instance, right? Like I like to try to find and isolate, like I said, the knowledge nuggets of life. Like, yo, that's practical, actionable shit. If you take an interest in a young person as they're exploring their music and give them a space, they turn into a dude that's sitting here having an interview half a life later.
So, well, here's where, okay, since you touched on that, I'll bring this up because I don't really talk about it too much because I don't, whatever. I don't really tell too much, but here's the exclusive. When that happened, right? I started having a realization of maybe I am pretty good at this, right? And I showed like my friends' parents and stuff, and they were like, "Yo, this is sick. You should send it to like a record label." I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I was looking, swimming around for anything, right? But I didn't find it. So what I started doing was like gravitating into the arts in school because I noticed, okay, yo, if I'm good at film, if I'm good at art, and I take art in school, I'm gonna get good grades, right? So I took drama, and drama also facilitated the music shit. I ended up making another mixtape, getting another award, starring in like a bunch of drama plays, getting an award for being in the drama, for best actor from York University. But then like I was also outside doing shit. I was smoking a blunt, coming to school stinking like weed. One time I just came in, I smoked a blunt, came in, the principal tapped on my back. I'm on my locker. I turned around like, holy shit, I'm gonna get fucking booked. She's like, oh, good job in the play last night. That was really good. I didn't expect that from you. I was like, what the fuck? I was taken back because I'm like, yo, this bitch probably hates me. You know what I mean? But she was like, yo, I'm very impressed. Probably just because the way I dressed and carried myself and because of, hip hop or whatever.
Maybe you
but
just came in smoking a blunt.
and yeah, that too.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that every high school stoner is that, but bro, most of the high school stoners be wildly not the easiest people to deal with if you're the school administration.
Yeah.
Hold on.
But
can we just pause a quick second? You're saying that the guy gives you an award, and this motivates you to start taking art classes to get dope grades because you're good at it. And that motivates you to get better grades and learn about a plethora of different art shits, which gets you involved in even bigger things like seeing how productions get put together. And all this experience gets unlocked. All because you got an award. Yo, man, school should be really on that shit is all I'm saying. Like, that's actually like a fire. Because, yo, like, the things that motivate us as teenagers, high key is what motivates us as adults, and gamification is like a huge thing in marketing right now. And basically your school, probably not even on purpose, gamified your interest in what led to a university and what led to, and that's fucking cool as fuck.
Purpose, dude.
But that's why they deserve the props, because even if they blundered their way into it, like that whole method, like, yo, there maybe is an entire way of reshaping education around shit like that.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, it's like I heard like there was back in the day, when in the Middle East, in the Persian Empire, when they had universities before anybody knew what a university was, they said something like, we don't expect a fish to learn how to fly or a bird to learn how to swim. Like each person needs to apply themselves to what they're good at. You can't force, if someone's a bird, you can't force them to swim like a fish. They're gonna have to fly. You can't, you know what I mean? So you got to focus on people's strengths. And school though has become politicized. Like any system has become a game of numbers. So doing the right thing really isn't in the interest of the people who are running it. It's getting those numbers through, right? Again, my teacher was just like, yo, this is cool, man. And he just told the music teacher. And again, like, yeah, it was stumbling upon it. I wish that schools would take more interest in that. But even so, like, we didn't really have the gear or like the departments after that for me to pursue it to get into like post-secondary education in film production, which is why I ended up in film theory.
Right.
That's a whole other story too, because when I went to university for that, or when I went to colleges, I went to college and university, I was applying for three things. I was applying for music production, acting, and film production. That's what I was trying to get into. And all of them needed like a long resume of previous work. And for the film production, it needed like a couple projects, right? And at films, in our high school, we didn't have access to that. We had a couple digital cameras, we made a couple little projects, but nothing that really that I had or that I could show and be proud of. It was
Yo,
just
that's
us
actually
screwing
a
around learning effects,
fascinating thing, because yo, that like hits kind of close to home for me, right? Because there's like a privilege that, I know that word isn't popular, but there's a privilege that goes into a high school that has money versus a high school that don't have money. I went
Yes.
to the high English high school with the lowest tuition in Montreal, as in
Word.
$45 a year. By the time it went down every year too, right? Because the economic
Mm.
status of the kids, like we had like a lunch, all of it. We had no music program, no extracurriculars. It was nothing. It was like sparse. We had great teachers. So all love to our
Hmm.
teachers, because weirdly we had
That's good.
excellent educators, but there was like fucking nothing. You had no electives really. There were just two classes. You were either in sciences or you were not. And you were either in the bilingual program or you were not.
Word.
And that's it. And then you should find out that everyone else's high school is better and had cooler shit. Like everyone else's high school was like got more things going. Everybody had our instruments. Everybody had a Uyghur instrument in their high school. Like it
Yeah.
was fun. Like, you guys had instruments? Like, you know, like there's no band. There's none of these options.
Yeah.
So it's
Word.
like, to hear then that these university programs require these like resume shits, right? And in
Hmm.
order to get that, being at a school that has all this stuff linked up and all these extracurriculars in play, that's a wild thought. Because when you're a young one, if it's not even in your school, you might not even know it exists.
Straight up, man. Straight up. And how would you know that you'd have to build that resume to get into
Oh,
those schools
especially back then.
beforehand, right? You would have to, yeah, you because the internet wasn't like it was. You would literally have to go to the university and like find a guidance counselor and be like, okay, well, what do my grades have to? How does my high school transcript have to be? But that's also
Oh
why
my
like a
God, they used
lot
to
of
have like
people
those
after,
academic people that would show up at your
yeah,
school and like literally break down all the shit we Google.
yeah, man, yeah, straight up, yo. And I remember people who had to redo grade 12 again just because they didn't know that they needed these courses to get into these things, or like they had to redo a course they already did but like at a higher level, because over here they used to call it college and university level courses. So you either take math C or math U. At least I think that's what it was called. And a lot of people were like, okay, I'm just going to take math C. But then it's like, okay, for this course, oh, I hit everything else, but I needed that math U. So now it's like, oh, I got to go to for a semester now. I got to hold myself back, get that math U, and then apply again. But like for a guy, that's for something simple. For a guy like me that needs like all these credentials, I have to go to like 4 more years of high school, you know what I mean, to do it all over. But in that trajectory of like,
Mm.
because you like really got to know, you know what I mean? And this is coming from a dude who like, I was in drama for all 4 years. In the second year, that's when I kind of knew, okay, let me try to be an actor. And like it was so hard, dude. It was just the things you needed. And then especially like, just being a colored individual and stuff, there'd be like it was extremely hard. It was extremely hard. That's all I could say about that.
So like,
And it's a weird troop of people, the actors, man. Not no disrespect, but they're a
yo,
bunch.
all I can remember about the kid, because like, I remember the actors. Like, we have Cégep, right? Because Quebec's Quebec, and Cégep is like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
like
about
we don't
that.
have no grade 12. That's the first year of Cégep, and then we only have three
Yeah,
years
you're
of
right. You're right.
university.
Yeah.
And we get this amazing in between that the whole world should steal from Quebec. It's the greatest invention, bro. It's like 2 years where you kind of get to coast a bit, and you got like a university kind of styled life. You can kind of fuck around and still get good grades, so you're not punished, but you get
Mhm.
all the dope shit of university from like the partying side of it. But like the workload is more like an in between of high school and university. Like, bro, I would like study for the test before and pull like high marks type thing. I got to university though, and you get humbled, bro.
Yeah.
You get destroyed. Everybody
Get the
tells you it's
shit
gonna
beat out of you,
happen,
dude.
but like, yo, the in between is ill, because it's almost like a no consequences version of university, and
That's
like,
pretty good. That's pretty good.
yeah, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, I don't even remember I went there. I got a little distracted with that, but yeah, with the
But
education.
yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. Education and prerequisites and blah
Oh
blah
yeah,
blah. And
so like, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, just to get into that, it's like, I don't know, pretty simple, I guess. Like in Quebec, they kind of do that. Oh, it's just, I guess, to have the cultural middle ground of it all and to have that shit. And then acting, you said, oh, yeah, the actors. So I met the acting people there. Oh, my God. They were the orgy crowd. They were like the orgy swinging crowd. Like, that's all they did. I remember. It was worth going back to. It was that group of people I'd never met. And then people are like, yeah, we're swingers. And they'd like kiss like everybody in the group together. And you'd be like, am I a prude? Like,
Yeah, they're kind of like they like to get very personal and stuff, and like I'm not a guy who likes that, so I kind of gravitated a little away from that a little bit, because the more deeper you go into that acting circle,
I
again,
guess
I
like
don't want to
because you gotta,
disrespect nobody,
but it's like I guess
it's a lot of unique individuals in that circle. That's why Hollywood is the way it is too. You know what I mean?
I guess it's like a world where you have to like fake love. Like you don't have to fake love as a rapper the way that you have
you're right.
fake love. Like you have to be able to like look at this chick like she's the girl of your dreams, make out with her and shit, and then flick it off. Like that's got to lead to some weird shit in life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had to kiss a girl in front of my girlfriend at the time while my girlfriend was like sitting at the front of the stage. And my drama teacher was like, and I didn't kiss this girl, like she played my wife, right? And it's at the end of the play, I have to kiss her. And the teacher's like, yo, like we were in a contest. So he's like, yo, if you want to win the contest, you got to kiss this girl at the end for real. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you know what I mean? I can't do this shit. And I had to kiss her. And this girl who I'm kissing, her father is over there. And my girlfriend is over there in the front row. And it's like on a fucking contest in front of like 100 people, you know what I mean? Like that's some pressure, man. You know what I mean? I won the award for that, and the girl who played my wife won the actress award for that, so it was well worth it. But yo, that's a serious thing, man. Yo, it's not a joke.
Yeah, no, I don't know how, like I don't know how I would really be in that moment. I can fantasize all I want about like, but yo, to actually have my girlfriend sitting right there, well, I gotta go make out, or imagine the fake sex scenes, right? Like not even just like you're just like on top of this girl, fake pelvic thrusting. Like your girl is just watching you fuck this next chick, and it's just for
I don't
know, man.
Filming those scenes, like just logistically, it always makes me laugh. But it reminds me of the meme of you ever see the girl and she's in the sheets are blowing, and then the other one is like, you know, every shot like this, there's a camera guy like this, and he's just looking at the girl under the sheet.
Absolutely,
like, you know,
it
takes the magic away from it. It's like so awkward.
I got it. You know, have you ever watched? Because now porn behind the scenes are big. So like,
oh man, yo, I grew up. Okay, I don't know if you guys had this channel. We had a channel in Ontario. I don't even know. I can't even assume, but we had a channel in Ontario in Toronto called Showcase.
Oh,
I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yo, you remember that shit? Yo, when you're a kid, you watch that, you're just like, holy shit.
That's why like Red Shoe Diaries and all of that shit. Oh my gosh, I used to get in trouble all the time.
Yeah, that was where you would see that shit.
Woo!
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Gosh. Yo, that because there was no internet, right? The internet was dial up and shit. So, bro, it would be like, because we had this shit on Friday nights at midnight called Bleu Nuit. Bro.
But when you said behind the scenes porn, it made me think of the show See More Butts. Where it's like a family and they own a company, and it was like a behind the scenes of like him and his kids, and he's going to the office and he's filming, and I'm just like, oh shit, son.
Showcase was wild. You know? That was a wild network. But no, I don't know if I saw that one, to be honest, but fair. But
that was a funny one, man. That was a funny one. That was hilarious, but it was interesting too. You know what I'm saying?
I always really dig the like behind the scenes look at it. Like I think that's why The Office is appealing as a show, actually, is because even though it's not really, it's still kind of like the behind the scenes of a documentary that gets made, even though you only see it at the end. But yeah, no. So you're like, you go to university for acting or for?
So for film theory.
Okay, yeah. And so the acting crowd, you were involved with them beforehand? Or
yeah, because I was doing drama in high school, and then after that I was trying to get into university for acting, so I did a lot of auditions and just like a lot of kind of like being in that crowd,
right?
But then when my applications were coming back, the thing that I got accepted for was film theory at York University. And so I was like, okay, this is the one I got accepted for, this is the one I'm going to. It was either that or Toronto Media and Film School that actually a friend of mine ended up going to and getting a certificate there. It was a college, actually, a private college, but unfortunately, it was a little too expensive at the time. It wasn't
Okay,
covered,
so
you
what's
know,
the
and
difference between college and university in Ontario? Because it's probably not the same in all around the world.
so the difference here mainly is I would say college is a lot more specialized to what you're doing. Like your classes aren't as broad. They're smaller classes and there's a lot more one-on-one. It's I wouldn't say like there's a lot less on you. Like it kind of, you know, if you want to go
Oh,
specialize in something,
so
you know
it's
what
a
I mean?
trade school.
University, yeah, like almost like a trade school, right? But then there's like university where like you can kind of it's more up to you. There's bigger classes. There's the professors there who are actually working in their fields, who aren't teachers, right? Like the professor for like my film class was actually filming a documentary at the time,
Mm.
type of deal. You know what I mean? Like so, it's a little bit different. I would say the university stuff, like again, I don't want to seem like condescending, but it's a little bit more mature in a sense, whereas you kind of have to guide yourself through that experience. Whereas college is like, okay, you know what to do. You take these courses in high school. Okay, boom, we're going to college, do it, get out, get the certificate, and work in that field. University is more like you get a degree, and it's like, okay, now how am I going to apply this degree to what I'm doing? You know what I mean? Or
That's a pretty
yeah.
interesting distinction. So it's not so much that it's that colleges are trade
That's my
schools.
experience. That's just my personal experience, how I would reflect on it. You know what I mean?
So it's
Yeah.
more of a culture at the end of the day of how it manifests rather than being necessarily about the specific academic requirements to get a particular degree.
Yeah, I think so. To be honest, like in high school, the way they put it was that the courses that were like university level, were harder than the ones that were C. And compared to like from my experience to some of my friends' experience, because I did end up going to like Humber College, you know, and checking like hanging out with my buddies and stuff over there and just seeing the life over there. And it was a little more like the classes were a little more high schoolish. Like they did have lectures every once in a while, but for me, it was like every class was a lecture. You know what I mean? And then we would have one class where, okay, they would break down the lecture. It was more like, it's hard to explain, to be honest.
It feels like university more like theoretical thinky shit, and college is more
Yes.
practical
Yeah.
doey shit.
Basically. Yeah. Basically, there you go. There
Bro,
you
I would
go.
have
There
loved
you go.
university. I kind of wish I hadn't dropped out. In hindsight, not because of the degree. I don't give that part is the least interest. Like I wish I would have
Mhm.
dropped out in year 3 or some shit instead, not year like 1. Cause
Oh, okay. Okay.
oh my gosh, dude, some of that like philosophy shit sounds super dope, and there's not a lot of environments
Yeah,
for it
man.
these days.
Especially where you can get in a lecture hall with 1,000 people and debate philosophy, or not debate, but you know, just talk with 1,000 people, all from you don't know where they're coming from. You know what I mean? And but the thing is, you have to be respectful to them too. You got to know how to make your arguments and stuff, or else the whole lecture hall is gonna laugh at you. You know what I mean? The professor will tell you, "Man, you're an idiot. Get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about." In college, they're not allowed to really treat you like that. Over here, like the onus is more on you. So, like, if someone makes an argument in class, you can't like get mad at them. Like, you know what I mean? You can't like yell at them. The professor gonna be like, "Get the hell out of here." He's gonna call security, right?
Mm.
So like, because I don't know. It's that's my experience, anyways. That's how I took it. But the same ways, there's the same degenerates in university as there is in the colleges.
I mean, that's facts.
Same people crawling around
Bro,
in the
there's
pubs and
degenerates
on res,
everywhere.
and you know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah.
But shout out Lifter90 for saying college is more hands-on. Appreciate that. And then
There you go.
Governor
Yeah.
Burrows, like universities focus more on academic and professional programs. Colleges focus more on career training and trades.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
That's fair. I mean, I'm sure I would,
Big shout to Lifter.
if we could like make a bunch of French versions of that, I'd be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. Because like in Quebec, half the shit is just like French. But like, yo, the word college is just so. The word college gets kind of associated with cégep here because it just feels lighter. and college feels
Yeah,
lighter.
yeah, yeah.
But like I know that's not what it is. Like I just know.
No. There's no it's not to say that oh college is like lower than university. It's just what you want to do,
Right.
what you gravitate to. You're gonna go to either college or university. But um the distinction I think between film college and film university is exactly like how you said, is like it's more thinking than doing in university, and it's more doing than thinking in college.
So you would go to like college to learn how to be involved in production, and you would go to university to learn to be a guy who writes media about media.
Yeah, how to be like a critic or whatever. Like they still had production courses as well, but it was more about applying the production to like psychoanalytic theory and the human mind and how we
So
experience
the
reality.
marketers would
And
go to university while the like movie tech people would
yes,
go to college. And
pretty much, yeah, pretty much. But you still had cameramen
right,
and
right.
stuff in college. A good friend of mine was graduated, and he does camera work now as well.
Yeah, for sure. So you went through that experience then as you go through film theory. So you'd be
Yeah,
studying, I guess, all the theory of film. I mean, it's pretty like one of
yeah.
those ones that explains itself actually in the title.
Yeah. It's like all different genres. It's like how to write. It has to do a lot with the human mind and how we perceive reality, because that's how we should be making our films. And then experimental film, all different genres, and the history, and all that all that boring stuff.
Nah, it's pretty interesting. YouTubers who talk about that shit be making killings right now. That's the like
Yeah,
video essay land. So
yeah.
so you graduate and you get your degree in film theory, and then what happens?
So what I started doing was just making a whole bunch of random YouTube videos with a bunch of my friends, like in our basement, and just like just screwing
And what
around,
year is that?
putting. This is 2009.
So you're like a
So
early
like,
ass YouTuber.
yeah, I wasn't really like a YouTuber. Like I would just randomly upload stuff. But here's the thing. I was like kind of involved in directing and creating it. But my friend who went to that college that I was talking about earlier, he was the one posting it on his channel. So he was, to give him the credit, Adam, AK, he was an early YouTuber. But we were in that from early. In 2009 is when I started going to university.
Right.
So we started making films because I was like, I'm behind. So we started making little films, and then slowly though, it fell off. And then after that is where the darker part of my life begins. And that's where it gets kind of serious.
Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to divulge of the darker part of your life, but I guess what happens through that phase? Like, are you still making music throughout all of this? Is this still like a focus at all?
Yeah. So what happened? Life happens. I almost ended up dropping out of school in my like third year. I almost ended up dropping out. Just shit was going on in my life. I decided to stay, which was a very good choice on my part. I'm happy I did. I got my degree, you know what I mean? I felt accomplished. And after that, I didn't really know what to do with myself, to be honest. I was kind of in a slump after I graduated. I was in a big slump. And then I had some medical issues happen to me. I dislocated my shoulder. I fell down on some ice, ripped the tendon out. I started going blind before that, and I had to get like a surgery. I had LASIK eye surgery, and the LASIK eye surgery, some complication happened, and I started going blind in my left eye. And
Hold
then,
up. You're
yeah,
the 0.001% of people where the
yeah,
shit goes wrong in LASIK, bro.
yes,
Because like
sir.
I think about LASIK all the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's a horror story, man. So that's a whole saga in itself, right? Is the going blind. I was actually like I had to go for this surgery. Thank God that I took the lifetime warranty on your eyes. If you do it, take that lifetime warranty, because if shit goes wrong, the surgery was so expensive, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And the doctor did say that if I didn't get this treatment, the blindness would spread from my left eye into my right eye and I would be completely blind. And you're telling this to someone who's 25 years old, mind you. So to lose your sight at that age is pretty heavy. And there were other things going on in my life as well, like extremely stressful things that I was going through at that point. So I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. And I kind of gave up for a little bit. I just had finished actually making 3 projects. And this was right before Instagram happened and Spotify happened and DistroKid and distribution and SoundCloud rapper. So I had made 3 projects that were just like over like type beats that I had bought leases from. I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put it out. I hope people listen to it. I'm going to put it on YouTube. Maybe I'll go perform it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to get heard. I'm trying to get seen, right? And then after I released those projects is when pretty much I got injured. I was still going through my eye thing. I dislocated my shoulder. I had a lot of different things happen in my life. I had a death in my family. Someone really close to me died. Yeah, man, I kind of like slumped away. I was working, just a job. I was just kind of just being a guy, and I didn't really know where my life was going. And then when the pandemic I got really, really fat as well. And then when the pandemic happened, I was kind of like, yo, this is either do or die at this point. Either I'm going to come out of this 50 pounds bigger, unable to reverse it, without a proper job, unhappy, doing a 9 to 5 that's consuming all my time. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to enjoy myself. I'm not doing what I want to do. Da, 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 da. Mind you, in that time, I had done a lot of work behind the scenes with my other friends, Ink, and my other friend, Mike, shout out to them. And we founded 2 businesses, Knowledge, which is what I do my music through with Ink, and Absurd Visuals, which is what I do my videos through with my friend, Mike. And we started freelancing, shooting weddings and events and all that stuff. But at that time, my friend Mike was taking the reins of that and getting all the events, and I was just going with him, going along. Okay, yeah, you need a guy to film. Let's go make this money. I didn't really know where I was going with this. You know what I mean? I'm lucky I had these 2 friends that had a vision.
Look, if you have a vision, the people that don't necessarily know where they're going are the fucking godsends of life, to be honest with you. Because people, like,
yes, sir.
As much as like it's weird to be in that phase, like, yo, sometimes like if you just, because you can't do anything alone. So like if you are in that place, to just go find somebody that is making moves and then like latch onto them. Like, I believe what you're saying is you got that proxy knowledge, right? Like you watched all the moves being made, and you had the exposure to the moves being made, just by virtue of being part of somebody else's vision, and then you're able to.
I mean, it was like here we all had a vision, and I was going forward with it, right? And I was recording, and I was like, I was going with it, and my friends there were like, they had faith in me. We all built something around me, and there was another artist, and it was like almost like we had a whole crew of people like doing stuff and whatever, right? But at the time, like when I fell off, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna kind of take the back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Take the backstage, work on the camera stuff. Like, but I was lucky to have my friends, like how we were all going forward on that vision. They stayed the course. They stayed strong. They let me take a step back. And they, you know what I mean? They were like, yo, you know what I mean? And then when it was time, like, you know what I'm saying? But like, yo, this whole story too is like, this is what my music is about, is like this whole story I'm telling, and like high school and all that stuff. That's what I write about in my music, So if you want to know more about that, listen to my lyrics deeply, because it is, and my projects are going to be the movie of this, because this was a very formative time. And then when the pandemic hit, I was like, yo, you know what? It's time to go. There's no more, you can't sit around crying. You can't sit around, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? It's like, you got to decide now. You know what I mean? The whole world is in a crisis. Pick yourself up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at that time, I started reading more, getting into Stoicism. You know what I mean? Ryan Holiday, Jocko Willink.
You got to break down Stoicism. I've like had one guy break it down, but I don't think a lot of people know what Stoicism really is.
It's hard. It's hard to break it down, man, without sounding kind of cold. To be honest, it's a form of it's just being detached from things and kind of accepting reality for what it is. It's, hoping for the best, expecting the worst, and knowing that life is going to be somewhere in between, and being okay with that. That's what it is to me. There's a saying in Stoicism that it's memento mori, and it's like, remember that you're gonna die, so enjoy this moment. There's a book, that everybody talks about, Marcus Aurelius Meditations, where he literally says, when you kiss your kids goodnight, think in your mind, this might be the last time that you kiss them while they're breathing. Tomorrow, they might not be alive. So enjoy that. You know what I'm saying? Like, appreciate it for what it is, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. You could say, "Oh, it's a dark thought. I don't want to think about my kids dying," but
Nah,
it's
bro.
in, you know what I mean. It's a method of thinking of detachment.
All I can
You know what I'm saying?
say is the last 2 months of my life have me thinking like that about everything.
Yeah.
The way the world is at, I can't go deep on the topic. Like, I can't even mention the topic level, but like, with
Or
what's happening in the world right now, like, yo, it's every day of my life. Like, I have people that
yeah.
in my company that are there, and it's weird, right? To just like see it. And then all
Mhm.
of a sudden you're like looking at all the things in your world, and you're like, nah, maybe there's something to stoicism in that regard. I find that a lot of the practitioners are super like, well, I don't have to try, and that gets misinterpreted in the process, which is annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think your explanation is an interesting coping mechanism for the hard times that a lot of us have faced, and it's probably more
Mhm.
practical to embrace the realities instead of fucking believing the delusions that so often the cultural norms push. Like, people don't
Yeah.
think about the word normal, right? Normal is really
Mhm.
just enforcing middle class historical norms and traditions. None of it's
Yeah.
law and none of it's universal. So when you talk about common sense, you're really just talking about the traditions of your localized region. And then immigration
Yeah.
happened. So fuck your common sense. It's just not real no more, because go look around your neighborhood. If it's anything like mine, it don't look like it did 20 years ago.
No, things have changed, man. The world changed. Bob Dylan said it a long time ago. You know what I mean? And that was that, and it's flipped even more since then, and an accelerated pace. 50 years from now, who knows what the hell's going to be going on? That's going to be interesting to see,
Yeah,
right?
so
I'm kind of still waiting to see what the next big change in culture is going to be, because we're due for it now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it's the death of
hip,
celebrity.
what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't really know what it's gonna be, but it's coming.
I think it's gonna be like,
It's coming
cause
soon.
you know,
It's
none
not
of
here
it.
yet though.
Cause like, who really want to be famous? Everybody act like they want to be famous until they get some fame, and then nobody want to be famous. I think like, and then you mix
Mhm.
that with the metaverse and the way that's moving towards privatized. Like, think about it. Like, hidden bars and exclusive shit is hot right now. The kids are
Yeah,
partying, and you don't know where they're partying unless you know,
yeah.
and then you're not telling
Hmm.
people. And it's like the opposite of what we did, which is like kind of so flagrantly putting everything on blast. It's almost like the little ones, not all of them, but a lot of them get understood the assignment of discretion. And I see this like world of a lot of people making smaller money, being a lot more sustainable in their world. Because
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Although anybody under the age of 30's got to be like, sustainability matters, bitch. I'm gonna be alive for that shit.
Yeah.
So like, that's gotta like play into a lot. So, cause yo, like literally after this, we going to like a metaverse room to freestyle with mans in Florida, like me and next
Word.
mans, cause
That's fucking crazy.
that's here. So I see like
Hmm.
how that
Hmm.
can. People don't know how much this is gonna blend with real life, and it's gonna be this strange hybrid. Cause yo, like even Twitch, like I don't even know where all these people are from, but I
Word up.
promise they're not Montreal. So my future, not all of them, but like some of them might be. But like here's the thing, that means my
Mhm.
future, if I'm trying to cater to my audience and every creator, is gonna now have to cater to local and international audiences simultaneously in a way that's never been an
Straight up.
expectation. Like people thought social media was it, but it's more this. If you look at the future of social media in China, who has been ahead of the curve for a very long
Hmm.
time, WeChat is king. It's not Facebook, it's WeChat. Facebook's been
Oh,
jacking
word.
WeChat for like a decade. It is jacked because China has no fucking laws like that, so they can just do what the fuck they want and steal our tech. So like when it
True.
comes to like AI shit, they like that's why TikTok's so good,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's real good. But like you look at the culture there, and it's like 12-hour live streams of sales. Like people would be like you see like people might be flipping shit on reels. Nah, they'd be like 12-hour live streams flipping shit. So I feel like honestly Harry Mack, which isn't my favorite, and his live freestyling the word streams might be a lot more the future of things, or the way the loopers and people on Twitch, that interactiveness where you can replicate it so simply and go live. You know, like this is really, in a sense, for freestylers, it's good. But I feel like, yeah, it's like
it's a brand new space for the culture to evolve, which is very extremely interesting.
But then add in like 3D art, so like now movies can just be like you're in the Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, look at I don't even know what the game is, but I'm pretty sure it's on PlayStation, where you can literally create the environment around you, and people are creating like some crazy shit. On that note, boom, I'm back.
Yeah,
my bad, my bad.
The future's gonna be some fucking hybrid shit where a bunch of people are gonna be able to do some crazy shit that is gonna be some mix. Cause like the thing is, it's already been like that. I don't think people know how big Second Life is.
What's that?
It's like a $1 billion company that was a bunch of people playing in private spaces as avatars having a second life. So you would just go log in as your avatar and just go like fucking socialize and probably have a lot of cyber sex and other shit. Like, I'm being real. Like, I mean, you have these avatars and shit. It's like Habbo.
Yeah, see, I wasn't aware. I was gonna say it's like Habbo Hotel.
Yeah.
It sounds like Habbo Hotel.
So imagine Habbo Hotel, but like all those kids grew up.
Yeah, that's kind of messed. But they grew up and they're still on the internet. Like, here's the thing: when you grow up, you should go outside. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
The world of real life is a very interesting place that doesn't get explored a lot. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
People get caught up in like a pseudo fantasy online where it's like they get stuck in their echo chamber. Like, it's like the same, and like it's dangerous now, I think, because like from when you're like not 8 years old, 9 years old, you have like an echo chamber now. All of your media is an echo chamber. You're not allowed to criticize people. We're not allowed to say like, you know, whatever. Like, your opinion has to be safe now. So you grow up in an echo chamber.
I have to dispute the opinion has to be safe thing. I think we do grow up in echo chambers. That's actually a fucking interesting thought I haven't had. But the safe thing, nah, it's just delivery. Everybody wildly just ignores like the critical rules of delivery in public spaces. People be acting like Facebook and comment sections are like private parties where you can just spit your shit, but it's more like you're in a park in front of kids. So just deliver the message.
Anywhere you go, delivery matters.
Because I don't catch bands and I don't get clipped and I say wild shit day in, day out.
Yeah, me too. But I just put it the right way though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it's not like, I think that but that's something that like I think is like not taught. But even culturally.
Banned though.
But like culturally speaking, like you can say a lot of dumb shit if you know how to communicate properly. So what I think is happening is people are not communicating very well, because I'll watch these comment threads where the same people who are trapped, and they always say shit like "you're a," that's a big faux pas, it's not a good one, or all these people, or they use these generalizations, and there's a lot of just things people say where they don't actually realize what they're saying. So they're super focused on their point.
Sorry.
And like they just kind of don't actually read the words that they're using and think about them in the context of how they'll be received from an audience that isn't in their head.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. An audience that isn't them, basically. Right. And to be honest, like a lot of people, they are who they hang with. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, right?
Echo chamber shit.
Like if you talk to somebody with the same experience of you, a lot of my friends have been my friends for like 25 years, since I was like 5 years old in school. A lot of them, like a good amount, like 12 of them, like a core group of us grew up together and stay in touch and stuff. But we're all radically different people. If we hadn't been friends when we were younger, we arguably wouldn't be friends. But that has done so much for, I think, all of us, because we just tell each other if we think, you know, you're being a fucking idiot. Like, you know what I mean? And that happens a lot, but people learn to understand it and are more understanding that way. And as a result, tend to be the more mature people in the crowd 9 times out of 10. You know what I mean? because they're used to being like, yo, other people have different opinions, and I got to learn how to say things. Like, you can't attack people. It's like that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? You could say anything you want, and I do say a lot of weird, wild stuff, but I put it in a way. But you might not catch a band, and people might not be vocal, but a lot of people are watching and don't interact, and they internalize what you'll say, and that will play on a public level as well. So it's like,
But I guess
it's a game of chess. You know what I mean?
I don't think people get canceled over not being able to express. It's not that. I think it's how.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Like,
definitely.
But I also, I think for a lot of people, free speech is a weird concept, and all of a sudden we don't have free speech, and that's a fact. You cannot just say what you want anymore because we all became content publishers. Right.
Well, we never had free speech.
No,
that's
even Americans, though, because that's the thing is Americans are
Yeah.
now globalized and discovering for the first time in their life that they're the only country with this level of free speech. Like, we had hate
Yeah,
speech
the
laws
level-
and
yeah,
shits.
there
Like,
you go.
we could never do it. Like, in a certain degree. Like, y'all may not know it, but there's literally laws for like a decade now that if you make a terrorist joke in Canada, this is not a joke, government. It's educational.
Yeah.
You can go to jail.
I grew up in that time. I grew up in that time where
Jail.
they told us, like, well, I remember when I was a little kid in elementary school, the thing in elementary school that everyone would say, "Oh, that's gay." No offense to anybody, but that's gay. And the teachers were very hardcore about, you don't say that. We can't say that anymore. Don't stop saying that word. And like, you know, and eventually no kids were saying that anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that. Like,
I did live through
arguably,
that
that's
shit.
that's you know what I mean. That's not free speech, arguably, because then
not.
you would have let the kid. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, there's levels to free speech because
Or it's misunderstood, right?
it's
Because
it's not a free for all. You know what I mean?
Like, there was never
yeah.
like freedom of consequence either, right? Like, free speech was more like the government can't put you in jail for shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like what people don't. This is where we get on a really crazy subject, because
It's a good one though.
as we advance as a civilization in the 2000s now, you know, we're 20 years into this, and it seems that a lot of our history is being forgotten. I've spoken to children that don't know what World War II is. I've spoken to people that won't teach their children about war. I've know people who don't know about society, or how humans made a society. Like, what we have, our city is a big working environment, like a jungle, and everybody plays their part. And that's what we kind of forgot. I think everybody thinks they're a superstar now, or that everybody can do what they want because the government says that you're free. Now, freedom only exists because we're all working together. You know, we're working together, and we made freedom happen. But there are rules to freedom, though, because if there's a free for all, there's no more freedom.
Bro,
now we're all living in log cabins.
Can I like add to this a little bit? Because I'm reading this book right now. Hold up. It's called The Future of Capitalism, Facing the New Anxieties. So shout out this dude. One of the things he said about freedom is rights. Rights is basically what freedom gets tied to. Now, politically speaking, original rights were directly tied to obligations. And then as the left and right did their shit, one side picked obligation and one side picked the other thing. But basically, a political shift happened that rights and obligations stopped being the thing. There was just obligations because of wartime. And then after that, it was an issue. So then all of a sudden, oh shit, humanitarianism, blah, blah, blah. Everybody has rights, but like the left kind of, and if you're being fair, is a bit silly in the fact that they never talk about obligations to these rights and hows. They never bring it up. None of these leftist young Turks motherfuckers are really doing it. They just kind of spit the exact parallel nonsense of the right, but like it's more moral sounding and stuff. So now you've got this world of moral righteousness that sounds super religious.
Hit the nail right on the head.
And it's
hit the nail right on the head.
But this is like, you got to understand, this is like literally politics, like US politics, which Canadians whore over. Let's be real. Like
they think I've seen people from Canada be like, I know the FBI is watching me. And it's like, yo, the FBI don't operate in Canada, G. It's CSIS. You don't even know about your own government, G. What are you talking about? People are talking like American government is operating in our country.
Well, I mean,
like,
the CIA might,
you know
like, if you're
like
interested.
they operate, but they operate proxy with our government. Like
Yeah.
they can't come in here and do shit to you. Like people think that, oh, okay, I said something bad about Trump online, the American government's gonna assassinate me. Like, yo, dude, I don't know what kind of
But what will happen is CSIS has an algorithm that watches
people think
you.
they're more important than they are, I think.
No, but for real, there is algorithms that are watched and are studied, and if you do say enough shit, you might actually have a government agent watch you on some real tips.
Yeah, it's like in school they had the list. You know, I was on that list. I had to speak to a guidance counselor. But you know why? Because as a kid, again, I grew up with Terminator and all this shit. I loved guns and action and fighting and killing. They're like, yo, this kid is fucked. We're gonna put him on a list. And I had to talk to a guidance counselor. After a while, they didn't give a shit anymore. You know what I mean?
I get
but
that.
It's like that, but on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like what's happening now.
And I just think, to be fair, like, on the real, you might criticize it, but like, a lot of this shit is because like terrorism's actually a thing, and people actually have to have
it's safety.
It's like a real thing. And then y'all might not like this next one, but everybody wants the government to deal with the more CP, I think is the safe term to put it, the child stuff in the world.
Oh yeah.
How do you deal with that if they can't spy on motherfuckers? Like, I mean that in a very pragmatic sense, like, to a degree, like, that's why this shit exists. Trust, they don't give a fuck about your opinion on Trump or your little weed operation, I promise.
No, exactly. There's bigger fish to fry. And it's like, you ever watch the show The Wire? That's like the ultimate show to show you want to know why? Watch that show. If you really have a critical mind, you know what I mean? It goes through every facet of society, from the streets all the way up, all the way to schools, all the way to the government, to why the fucking librarian doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like it shows you why. And it is because it's a numbers game. Nobody really cares. We're just trying to move this thing that we built called civilization, try to move it forward, because like, we haven't even been civilized like this for 100 years yet. Rome lasted longer than America, I'm pretty sure, before it fell. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of comparisons to history people don't make that would put things in perspective, and I think the perspective would be surprising to people, you know. And like, I'm just a history nerd. I love history.
Me
you know?
too.
Like, you see, I'm reading Robert Greene and all this shit, like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's fantastic. That's why I was like excited.
I know, you know, because we've been talking about that.
I mean, history is like mad important for me.
And it is important, yeah.
Especially music history, because that's one of my grievances started. Like, people act like the things that they're mad at are new. Nah, everything you're mad at was worse back in the day. There is not a universe where I could have said fuck and smoked a joint and gotten ads prior to like recently, okay? Straight up. You guys don't know that. You guys think censorship exists. Not. You wanted to get paid back in the day, you either had to sell those tickets by yourself, which was hard, and most of us probably are trash at, or suck the corpo dick, my guy, however that manifested.
Yeah, man.
Yo, did y'all know that The Who, I think it is, was fed speed to appeal to the crowd because the crowd did speed? And it's literally the story of lean and shit going on back in the day. So, like, none of it's fucking new. You know? Y'all know they did heroin and marijuana back in the day, right? Like, y'all don't understand. Even Louis, one of them fucking old-timey jazz people, was doing heroin, so they all start doing heroin, so they all create these, like... And it's like, how is it new today? That's the one part about everybody's criticisms that is, like, the most ignorant shit ever. It's like, dog, it's just, like, it's what it is. They act like the Michelangelo wasn't two artists motherfucking yelling in the streets about whose street cred was better until one of them got the contract. Like, what?
That's it.
Where do you see this world where you get to make the art you want to make and that compels anybody to give a shit? That's not how it ever happened. Ever.
Never, yeah. Exactly. You're
right. Man, will an indie rapper tell me that story about the good old days?
Nah, yeah, straight up, man. Like, like you said, from ancient Rome, man, all the way to now. You know what I mean? Artists and people do what the powers let them do, and the people in power are the people who have been designing civilization. I read another book, you know, it's almost like a cliche, but Think and Grow Rich, and it was written around the people, the owner of United Steel, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Charles M. Schwab, the guys who built America, Henry Ford. You know what I mean? Who are arguably, if you really want to, you know, get down to it, if you discuss it in rap circles, these guys are evil white guys. But yo, they built the society that we live in. You wouldn't have a car if these guys didn't exist. You wouldn't have.
No, it's such a twist. It's like it's so twisted,
our civilization.
Bro. Like it's like such a double-edged sword, right? Because they were evil motherfuckers.
Henry Ford was a very you know, he was an anti-Semite. He applauded the Nazis, and we still drive this motherfucker's car. You know what I'm saying?
It's facts. Like, but like when you really get into the Titans of Industry era of how they would like do everything evil, like, and I say evil, like they would lie, collude. They invented vertical integration to stifle competition. Man. Like, it's all the vile shit that labor laws exist to not have happen is because of these men that basically industrialized America. And that's the wild part, right? Because when you go look at what I was saying about China and social media, when you let the powers run free, it's like crazy progress. Like, I remember having this conversation, and the only good argument I have against immigration is based on these countries that have homogenized populations and singular goals. Because when almost everybody's the same, you can, in fact, be like, yo, we going to be the best at this and get everybody on board. When every neighborhood is super fucking mixed, like, it's a lot harder to create a homogenized singular goal. Yeah. And you'll see that the more melting pot places goes, there's innovation at an individualistic or regional level, but not in a patriotic sense. Ain't nobody really repping the cultural flag enough to allow the same pace of progress. But back in the day, if you look at the great American blah, blah, blah points, yo, it's like America v. the world, bitch. And that ain't what it is no more. And it's
the
like,
same thing with any general. You go back to Napoleon, you go back to the Viet Cong, you go to any victorious general, even Hannibal. When he was fighting the Romans, the only time he defeated them, it's because the resolve of the soldiers was so strong. They believed in the cause so much. It gave them like a more will to fight. If people don't care about what they're fighting for, then they're easily defeated. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a strong platform, right? Same thing with politics. Same thing with like,
hip hop,
civilization with hip hop, yeah, exactly. Which is, you know, a part of our culture, which is born out of civilization, which is like, it's just crazy, like, you know what I mean? The way the whole.
I love the fact that you focus on systems, right? Because so I had this idea, right? A lot of my shit's always gonna go back to the indie rap scene because I'm an indie rapper. Hey, but like, a lot of us fuck up as in like the collective of us. So like, if you want to relate it to hockey, indie rappers be like, yo, what's up, Jabron, dropping by to say what up to my guy Spade. But like, indie rappers be like let's look at all, like, the whole indie rap scene is like the NHL now. All of us be rappers. We are the players. Alright? Now, we on teams, which is our labels and collectives. And then we're all collectively part of the league. And all we do is shit talk the league. So why the fuck is anybody going to care about our little leagues when all we do is shit talk the league? So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you look at the systems and you start to understand those roles you were describing, and you start to realize, man, everybody really, like, there's 8 guys who are going to be the star? Like 8 maybe in your city? Like, think about it. Toronto's got 5 guys that anybody cares about? I think Tory Lanez, Nav maybe, fucking like The Weeknd, Drake, like, and that's like what? And then you have to dig. Your city, wherever you're at, it's gonna be like that, which means statistically and mathematically, the chances of any of us individually being that individual, however much we're supposed to believe in the fairy tale, it's like, bro, it's not us.
No, I mean, here's the thing. What I believe is exactly what that book, Think and Grow Rich, says. It's like, if you know it, if you believe it, and you go fucking hard harder than everyone else, but you can't give in to fantasies and this guy and that guy. Just be you, do what you want to do, mind your goddamn business and get it done. Go hard. That's the one thing. And you know what? I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of people, a bunch of bitches, they ain't got no work ethic, complaining about a lot of shit. Me, I deserve. Like, yo, I'm sorry, but you don't deserve shit. And you got to work fucking hard. Everybody does. You know what I mean? Even the people who don't, it doesn't seem like they worked hard. They did something to get there.
Bro, all they do is like
peoples did something to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Or like, you ever watch how much famous people travel? If you've never traveled, you don't know how hard that work is.
That shit's taxing. The jet lag alone is fucking taxing, man. People don't understand, you know, we pay for people's time. This whole city is built because people are being paid for their time to tend to it. Nobody's doing this shit out the goodness of their heart. No one's a police officer for the goodness of their heart, or a fireman for the goodness of their heart. Maybe in the fucking 1900s. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously you have your reasons to want to,
right.
But if you didn't have to work to make money,
I was just like, because there are volunteer firefighters. That would be the only exception I can give. Is like, there really are just people who want to be firefighters for the fuck of it, but that's just nitpicking, and it's just giving love to the volunteer.
Yeah. I mean, much love to those guys.
But like, your greater point is still fact.
It's still fact, but there are very few people who do it for the love, and like
Facts.
That's why like it's good to highlight people. Peace to everyone and much love to everyone who does what they do because they love to do it, and that's what they think that they offer the world. You know, because those are the people making the world a better place.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I just think people wildly trying to do other people's missions, right? Like, I think to like paraphrase a bit what you were saying, like, how I perceive visualization is you're supposed to take yourself into honest account. So, like, look, I'm 5'7" and chunky. Like, come on. There's, like, fuck me, I'm out of water. Got the hydrating. Hold on, there's a dribble. I hydrated as much as I can in this moment. But, like I'm 5'7", blah, 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 blah. Like, I can't be a basketball player. I learned that lesson at 12 years old. But then they made it right after that you can't get cut from the teams proper, which is an interesting thing, because now a bunch of people maybe didn't learn the lesson that they can't be an athlete or whatever. But like, so I have to be like, yo, I'm 5'7". Bro, I'm never going to be a professional athlete in most athleticisms. Just like, it's never going to happen. And then that pushed me into music at like young. And then I got more in touch with that. Trust, short guys can rap. Rap is full of short guys. It's facts.
Yo, too short. Shout to Too Short.
It's almost like
about him earlier.
It's rare when the guy's taller than you expect in rap. Everybody be fucking short, I find, except for like the few guys that like Locksmith who are super tall.
Word.
And then like, so you end up like, but you gotta like know your lane. Like, look, I'm a weirdo. Yes. I don't even like partying. How could I really be that pop star guy? Like, I have to like suck it up and go to the show and fake it and shit. And I'm sure I could fake it, but then I'd get to that place and do drugs and shit because I was unhappy. Like,
that's
so
where
it's
it
like
leads to self-destruction when you're not happy. You know
I want to make my like $150,000 a year off of creative endeavors and be cool enough to be known. I was thinking about, I want to be influential but not famous.
Yeah, man. I mean, here's the thing. For me, I just want to do my art. Like I feel like I have a story that I want to tell, and it's inside of me, and I got to put it out there. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, like, I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm not a person that half-asses shit. So I'm going to go for it. And like, yo, if I'm really good at this, like I think I am, like I've been being told, then maybe I can make a living off it. You know what I mean? And I just want to live comfortably. I'm not trying to be like a superstar or household name or whatever. I just want to do what I love doing, contribute to the world, what I think I have to give it, and just be comfortable and not worried about a paycheck or whatever. You know what I mean?
I would like for this shit to pay for itself, actually. That would be a really happy immediate goal. Like, just to
I wish.
Break even. I would like to break even. But I love that.
That's the current goal. You know what I'm saying?
Because, like, I love this. Don't get me wrong. I feel like I used to watch shit like Joe Rogan, and now my life is shit like Joe Rogan, only it's more fun because I'm on the camera and I get to talk to interesting people. And like, high key, like, you were talking about the internet and going outside shit. Going outside is not easy for everybody when like you're kind of like me And like people, like I had this distinct moment. I did a show on Saturday, right? I rapped, like killed my set and shit. So that part is dope. But like in front of it before my set, man's is like freestyle and I'm trying to do my thing. He's like, bro, it's corny because it's not fun. Why are you so fucking uptight? Chill, have more fun. And like, I get anxious at shit, you know? Like, it's not fun for me, like, because you have to be fun. And so it's like, nah, like outside is weird sometimes. Sometimes it's like the internet creates this opportunity like this where you can get a vast array of experiences in controlled environments. And there's this other lane. Now, do I think this is real life? Fuck no. But if you're a young person and you can't make that distinction, I totally respect the danger and threat. But it's a lot easier to get a lot of the basic foundational social skills via the way the internet works. Like I wouldn't have, if I hadn't got the shit kicked out of me in YouTube comments, I would come off a lot more like the white guy you were describing before. But I had to get the shit kicked out of me, bro. Like they had to like, bro, it was a lot of shit. Like it was like borderline getting called racist. In real life. But like, I didn't get punched in the face or some shit, but it was like getting punched in the face a lot in the comments until they made YouTube comments sanitized. So like all of a sudden, none of the mean shit started coming through because they just stopped letting it come through. But it was like, yeah, I found a forum where people wish death upon us, and that was like a life-altering experience.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, is that on the internet, you don't have to see that guy every single day. That guy who said, "Yo, I'm gonna kill facts. You," isn't actually gonna try and kill you.
He just wished death upon us, which was weirder.
Yeah,
but
the sad thing that this connects to is bullying, right? And the only way to beat a bully is to stand up to the bully and to show them that they can't pick on you, because bullies pick on people who are weak.
I'm gonna be real though.
There's no way around it.
They had like really legitimate arguments in fairness. Like, I'm a white dude talking about hip-hop and shit on the internet arrogantly. I got G-checked more than it was bullying. It was like, sometimes it went way too far, for sure. But like,
this is the thing though, is that in real life, you can get a sense of what you could say or see. Like, you know, when my older cousins would bring me around with their friends, you know, I'm a very exuberant, I like to say, and I like to offend people, but I knew when to keep my mouth shut because the air was there.
Oh, bro, like, you know what I'm saying?
It's something in real life where like you know. Like,
no,
you know
I'm saying I do not have that like judgment as good as other people, bro. Because like even wildly, there was like 2-3 conversations upon reflection. I'm like, yo, why did I say that shit? I should have just shut.
You gotta train it though.
I know,
you gotta train it,
but that's why it gets hard. Yeah. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I am a firm believer in the value of it.
The majority of people don't know how to control it. I'll tell you that.
So it makes it like I feel like a lot of us are ill-equipped for social graces, and like now you're right. Going into real life is mad important, because what I learned on the internet talking to rappers and shit, trying to find homies, is that everybody full of shit on the internet when they talk about like what they like. That's what everybody lies about. What you like to do. It's so weird. Everyone's honest about their opinions on shit, but ain't nobody really honest about who they are. So then you hang out in real life, you find out your entire relationships are parasocial. Y'all don't even fucking like each other and shit. And it's like really hard to connect with people on the internet. So like I've been doing a bunch
of bullshit.
I've been doing like a show with the homie in New York City, but really it wasn't real until I went to New York City, and we hung out for like 6 days intensive, and we still cool. Yeah. Now we know we cool. Like what can you say? 6 days in a row, bro, with the girls around and shit, and it's still dope. Okay, now we playing for real, right? It wasn't like before. It was like fake shit, but because that's how the internet is. It's so detached. But
yeah, man. But like you see, that's the type of shit where like. Let's say I met someone on the internet and they told me like, let's do business together, and they ended up screwing me over, right? A person like my father's age would be like, yo, did you even meet the guy? Then why the fuck you doing business with him? I'm the type of guy that like, if I'm going to do business with you, if it's going to be money, if we're not in another country or some shit, you know, like we got to meet. I want to get the vibe of you. That's the type of person I am. People will try and force you into, no, it's okay. That's a fucking red flag. It's like, no, man, I want to see you in person, because like, I'm the type of dude, like I look in people's eyes when I meet them, and I know who they are. There's not a lot of people like that anymore that exist in the world. You know what I mean?
I would
it's
say
a very rare thing.
I would have to disagree with that, to be honest, because I meet a lot of them. Because I look people in the eyes a lot. And then as I started meeting a higher quality of people in my life, the frequency upon which that people, like, I got to really watch my P's and Q's, bro. Because, man, people be, like, telling all of my transparencies, bro. People be reading me like a motherfucker. Like, girls especially be hanging out with me, like, 3 times and figure out all my triggers. I'm like, what the fuck? People be wildly, like, astute. It's just that if you in degeneracy land, and I don't mean that in any cultural sense, it's just if you hang out with the types of people that would arguably be best qualified by that definition, chances are they don't give a shit about you. Another thing that we do as artists, if we want to go back to the indie art world.
Nobody gives a shit about anybody.
But you know why? Bro, I had this epiphany, like, recent. Like, this dude was telling me about a situation. Him and 5 boys made a collective that lasted 8 years. He had my fucking attention, bro. He said they were the least productive people ever. They hung out drunk. They got drunk. They joked around, played video games, and in the last 20 minutes did some work. And it reminded me of the way Japanese folk do business, where it's all fucking you hang out for a while and then you do business. And then I realized all of my relationships are so transactional. You're one of the actually only guys I really shot the shit with. And that whole, like, concerts grind, like, man, I ain't talked to nobody. Word. But, like, you read Robert Greene. That wasn't rap related. It was like, yo, bro, he's a Robert Greene fan. I get it, bro. It's done. Like, you just instant.
Word, yeah.
It's like when other people like the same band or some shit. You're like, okay, there's, and then you shoot the shit a bit. You're like, oh, say word. Your life is mad different, but we agree about a lot of shit, And honestly, your music is, I like it, but, like, that's not even interesting to me as you as a human, which makes you more interesting, right? Like, it's interesting, but, like, there's people I know that they're just a dope rapper, and they're not fucking people. They're just a dope rapper.
Yeah.
And it is as diminishing as I mean it. I mean, it's like, cool, you're a dope rapper. What the fuck value do you bring? I know a lot of dope rappers, bro. I know at least 1,000 dope rappers right now.
Yeah, it's like, what do you bring to the table? What makes you different? What makes you special?
More importantly, if we hang out in a room, are you going to make me feel like a fucking weirdo for being a weirdo? That's actually where I'm at in life, because I'm a fucking weirdo. Like,
I'm a weirdo too, though. You know what I mean? Like, I look how I look, whatever, but, man, I enjoy what I enjoy, and, like, I really don't give a fuck, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people used to try and clown me about Star Wars or Marvel. Oh, you fucking this and that. Like, yo, dude, like, enough people caught a slap too for that. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not gonna slap anybody. Like, I'm just gonna politely say fuck all and blackball you from my existence. I'm petty like that.
It's just like, if people try to push you around and shit, or if people try to be violent against you, like, I could bully this guy because he's a weirdo, and because he's a weirdo, I'm just gonna assume he's, like, socially inept or whatever. You know what I mean?
Or that you're a pushover.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? People like whatever the hell they like. I remember there was one guy who, an older dude, some guy at my work, and he just enjoyed taking pictures of trains. Like, I don't know why, you know what I mean? He just liked it, and I was like, oh yeah, why? And he's like, I don't know, I just like it. I was like, all right, man, cool. More power to you. Fuck, I don't know. Like, you like that? I don't like it. I'm not gonna knock you for it. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, you like taking pictures of trains. You're a fucking weirdo. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, man, you like that?
I used to be. I used to be a lot more of the fucking judgmental type. Like, I used to be, like, super judgmental, like, high key. Like, I was not necessarily an admirable person until I got humbled in life. But then I learned the biggest lesson, and especially doing these interviews and talking to people of various pay grades, we'll call it. Everybody's interesting. Like, I know that's so weird. Got a story, man. And the thing is like, everybody into some random shit. And you know what? It's the weirdest shit, but one of the best and most entertaining interviews came from one of the rappers who arguably I don't even really like his music. I'm not going to say his name. I don't like his music. I think his attitude is trash. He has done nothing for his hubris. But goddamn was his interview good on the fucking nothing he lived in life. He took what he had in life and had the most incredible shit to say about it. And I was so like, he's interesting. even if the rest of what I said is still true in my mind. And that's what's
True.
wild, is that everybody, and I mean, I just put no discrimination on who I interview. So I've talked to some wild people who maybe I should have thought that through a little bit more. But end of the day, everybody's got like a lesson. Like I'm not at the same place in my career as most people I talk to. Either they're way ahead or they're way behind. And it's very rare I even meet somebody in the same sphere of where I'm at. When I do, those are great. But like, so it's like, the fact is, I either learn from the past, I learn from the future, like I learned from this one. But like, sometimes people who be wildly not successful be also doing the most fucking innovative, weird shit that you're like, yo, I could take that and use that information and actually apply some wisdom behind that shit, you know? Like, so everybody's interesting. And that guy with the trains, man, he probably has some social media hack because he does train shit.
Who knows, man? That's a whole community that I don't even know. It's like, you know, there's communities of people. I used to go to the like, I'm a nerd, right? I go to the comic book shop, you know what I mean? Try look for some graphic novels, whatever, you know what I mean? Go to the comic book shop. I see people in the back playing cards. Like people playing Magic cards and Pokemon cards and shit. And they're playing all day, and there's like a big culture around that. And there's like tournaments, and like, I'm not into that. You know what I mean? There you go. Boom.
That's my weed filters.
Not, like, oh shit! You know, I'm not gonna. Better not show that to the Magic players.
So for anybody that caught that one obscure Facebook post, that was the one time I'm doing that on cam for a while.
Oh shit, son. Yo, but yeah, no, man. Like, you know, I'm not into it. Whatever. But I understand, you know, you like that, whatever. You like to do that. That's a community. I wasn't
actually, it's ill, bro. It's like I play Magic. I went to Friday Night Magic, bro. They got stats. The second you say you got stats, I'm already more interested than if you say you don't have stats. You have to register. So even if you go play on the weekend and shit, bro, you're clocking points, even if you're losing.
Oh, shit.
And then, like, there's a whole tournament system. Bro, like, there are guys. Like a league. There's guys living good off of cards. And then when you, so like, I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not, okay, like, how do I put this? It's not cheap to be good at Magic. You either have to be very good and therefore win every tournament, which I'm not, or rich enough to buy the decks, because the reality is, man, it's like a meta game of, anyway, I don't care that much. Magic's actually fucking dope. And the fact is everything's that, bro, I'm like studying video game lore culture right now. And we're going to make Cyberpunk 2077 lore videos. And it's going to be like so left field.
Nice.
And then we might make like 10 racks a month in the future off of an investment today. Off of just video game lore banking. Because actually everything that made Fallout 4 content back in the day gets crazy views today. And people don't like watch these other like cultures. So like there's something in that train shit. Facts. Rappers could be learning from.
Yeah, man. Got to tap in, like, you know what I mean, to those cultures. Like with me as well, it's like I'm not gonna hide who I am, and a lot of people who like my music aren't people that are necessarily like me. You know, there's a lot of different ass people who are like, yo, your music's really dope. I like, you know, some people are just like, yo, I listen to your music because I heard you reference some Marvel shit a couple times. Yo, I heard you reference like Darth Vader or some shit, yo. You know, and they're like, I like that, you know. So, boom, there you go. You never know who you're gonna hit on, right? And those unique things about you, those are the things that like speak, and those will shine, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that entirely. But I'm curious about your experience with Facebook contests, bro, because you got a playlist of fucking content, right? And okay, so here's how I met Spade. Y'all don't know this. Breaking Records shows up. Classified, enter the contest. Nobody thought twice. Let's be fucking real. Everybody's in the contest. I think you rank in the top 10, or you're one of the more noteworthy favored golden boy ones of the, no offense, but I'm not a golden boy, so let's be real, you're a little salty for a second. Then I remembered, all right. No, it's because like I went into it and I didn't realize it's like bars. I thought it was like I do songs, and then I realized I don't even do this. Why am I salty, right? Like I actually then participated because I wanted to run contest and I felt like karma would be good. But I had to get over myself, bro. I felt so proud of my verse, and then y'all motherfuckers wrecked that shit. And I had to go cry in my little fucking corner being like, not cool. Bro, Bill CF didn't even fucking like my shit.
Oh shit, yo.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm like the
damn.
only guy that Bill CF
Shouts
doesn't
to
like.
Bill.
That
Salute to
motherfucker's
Bill.
dope and shit.
Yo, no, for real.
And
though,
he
on some
has
real
given
shit,
me
yeah, he's a
love,
dope motherfucker.
but never on my music. I'm like the only guy whose music this dude doesn't like. He liked everybody's.
nice.
I watched him like everybody's post on every. I'm like, damn, man, that's rough. I have
Damn,
fans who
sorry.
sing my choruses and shit. I don't know why that would bother me, but like, you know, like, so I went into contest line and that happened. But then I watched you do like this really successful run in contest line, which is really interesting. So, I mean, like, it's so fascinating to me. I like the whole culture of it. Like, do you think this is a fun or great? Like, do you enjoy it?
Yeah, man. I honestly, I just do it to like sharpen my skills and stuff. I never really thought to. I did it not thinking about what I was doing. I'm like, you know what? I rap, but it's like, am I gonna take forever to make an album, or am I just gonna fucking rap? Like, people want to see me rap, right? It's like, yo, Spade, you rap, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, where are you rapping? Where's your posts of you rapping and shit? All right, So all right, I see a contest, jump in the contest, spit some bars. People take notice. There was nobody liking my shit, just a couple of my friends. Most of my friends, man, they don't even use Facebook, social media, Instagram, nothing. They don't use that shit. That's all people that are just on social media and shit who found my stuff. And so much salute to all those people. You know what I mean? Big respect. I just figured, yo, this is a way to get my music out to more people and to fans, and also a way to network in the industry. I met you off this. I met a couple other producers that I ended up working with as well. You know what I mean? And other artists.
Oh, and also
had me on features.
Just shut up, Breaking Records. Honestly, I was all
big
love.
salute. Yeah. How
Just
do we forget? Salute Breaking Records, man.
Just because I'm trash at contest land over there doesn't mean anything in the bigger picture of what they bring to the table.
No, man, they've been doing it up from time. I remember like all of them, all those guys. You know what I mean? I remember them from a long time because that's when I was releasing my old albums. Like, they knew me from then, like in person and stuff. They would see me like filming events, at events with a camera and stuff, not even rapping, just there covering the event, doing my freelance thing, and then years later, and they even them and other people in the scene were at, where'd you go? You know what I mean? I had to show my face. I came back like Batman, you know what I mean? Like, straight up.
So you're saying it's like a proper launching pad move. Like, if you need to come back in and maybe you got like, because albums are going to take time, and if you're doing an album right, it costs effort. And I don't want to call it money. It costs effort, however that manifests. And then you want to roll it out right, and you first impress all of that shit. But then you still have the mixtape side of the career, which is a highly slept on part. I went a different route than the contest. I started making my little shitty songs, right? I figured it would accomplish the same goal as what you're doing. But like, I don't think a lot of people know on that music history tip that all their favorite rappers have hundreds of shitty songs they've never heard that the whole streets got to hear. Like, all of them. Pick your favorite rapper. You just don't know.
Hundreds.
Why? Because that shit never made the internet somehow.
It was just on some like DJ drama mixtape that was selling in a clothing shop somewhere. You know what I mean?
And only 400 copies ever got made, and grandma sold all of them type thing. Like, it's just
legit.
And nobody knows this because nobody really actually goes beyond Google, really, which is weird, right? To say Google's not helpful, but the internet's kind of weird like that. So like, it really wasn't.
It gives you the most popular. It gives you the most popular mainstream and surface level answer you'll get. If you want a little bit more than that, you're gonna have to dig in real life.
Yeah, kind of.
That's why, like,
or at least
when I went to those shops where I bought my clothes, I'm finding like CDs with like Ghostface verses I never heard and shit. Like, yo, what the fuck? And it's a Wu-Tang CD. It's just like, here's the mixtape. Old Dirty Bastard came when he died, rest in peace. There was like all these mixtapes with like unreleased, nobody heard this shit ever. And to this day, you can't even find that shit. It's hard to find.
But like, there is content, just to be fair, like shit ton of little interviewers all over the fucking world. And this isn't about me, but like guys in LA and shit, like the Big Boy guy, or like a few of these other things, whatever. I don't remember any of the names right now. I'm fucking failing. But there's all these interviewers, or even Breakfast Club and shit, where they really do talk to like all these OGs or there's Drink Champs, and it's like if
Drink
you
Champs, I think, is a better example because you kind of got to be in the know to know that show.
no, but my point is,
You know,
if
the
you
more
really
main,
want to
yeah,
know
yeah,
about
but yeah.
music history, you have to go deeper. Like that's the bigger point.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes. That's the point.
like
Exactly.
I remember reading the Jeezy book, like Gucci Mane's biography, and Gucci Mane in his biography said the best $6,500 he ever spent was Killer Mike and fucking somebody else for their verses, Ti or somebody, and I'm like, wait, so even Gucci had to buy verses? And I was just like,
Everybody, yeah.
and that was 2008, best investment he made. I'm like, oh shit. Um, that's
Businessman. You know?
then you realize everything everybody says to you is just because that's who you're around, and you're like,
People, man, yo, before there was the internet, you would hear people say some fucking stupid shit, man. Especially about like Biggie and Tupac, and people would talk about them like they knew them. You know what I mean? And like other people who didn't know, they would just listen, like, oh yeah, wow, like there was no way to verify that information. Like, you know what I mean? I remember back in the day, there was like a VHS, some Suge Knight VHS. I just ended up watching with a friend and learning a whole bunch of shit that I never knew. But then it's all common sense over the internet. After like it's different. It's different.
man, you know what it is? I went through that with Pokemon. It's gonna sound fucking random, but Pokemon Red and Blue and Gold and Silver. If you were part of that wave, bro, like, and you've had a cheat
Oh yeah,
code,
yeah, I was yeah.
and you had like, if you knew about the time change cheat code, bro, you didn't tell people how to do it. You just did it on their game, and you were
Yeah,
wonderful.
there was no way to there was
But
no way
then
to
not
find
everybody,
out about it.
and you had to
You know?
like it wasn't like it is now, where it's like even Pokemon's not the same no more. They never had my, like, the kids today will never have my. I know it's the most old man and the corniest old man shit ever, but bro, you used to have the fucking Game Link shit. Go to homeboy's house. I used to meet strangers. This is gonna sound wild, but like my mom used to work at like this arena in the canteen.
Okay.
So we'd be like chilling in the arena, fucking bored, so we'd be playing Pokemon. Cause like what else? Like, skating, whatever's happening. But then
course,
like other
no
kids
phone.
be there with Pokemon, and you'd be like, yo, bro, what's your starter? And then you bust out the cable, and now you're trading Pokemons with some fucking kid you just met. I know it's like what it is, but that's a crazy experience that can't get replicated because of the internet and shit. And it's just,
Yeah.
even Pokemon Go tried to do it and it failed. It lasted like a month and a half and then it got corny.
Yeah. Well, it fails again. Like the people, here's the thing, the people that are really, really into that are probably the people that are going to gravitate into those guys that I was talking about, the people who are playing Pokemon cards on the weekend at that store that like you don't even know that's going on. But those people who really loved it, they found their way to that. Just like how, as a comic book fan, I found my way to all these comic stories, and when the movies came out, I was like, oh damn, that's like this story in the comic book. Let's, you know what I mean? Like that's basically how I see it. It's the same thing like music too. You see like rap and mainstream rap, and then if you really like it, then you're gonna dig into it and find like underground rap. Then you're gonna find like the pioneers and the history, and only if you really like it though. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're just in it just on the surface level, you'll enjoy it. You just might not know too much about it, or as much, I should say.
But it's different,
as
right?
much.
Like Matt Lifter was just saying, kids won't know the feeling of couch gaming with friends. Like that's a fact.
Ooh,
Like it's
yo.
never going to happen. The Switch is gonna do it, but then it's like the
Ouch.
Switch, right? Like it's not, playing like Mario Party with your mom is not the experience that we used to have at birthday parties. 2 TVs in the basement, 2 Xboxes, that motherfucking cable, Halo, split screen set up in a way where you can't see the other team's screen. Bro, that's a vibe. 8 sweaty ass teenage boys, pizza. Fuck, you can't have that shit no more.
No,
Because
but again, it brings it back to like real life being there. That human, because we're animals, man. We interact with the physical world. We have instincts that we feed off one another. When you're in a room with somebody, you feel that instinct. You don't get that on the internet. You see what I'm saying? Especially with competitive stuff like gaming or like playing a game of chess. It's different playing someone on the internet than playing a game with someone in person.
Facts, eh?
You
Like,
know
I
what I'm
imagine
saying?
poker's like that, because online poker is going to be
Oh,
a stat
man.
and probability game. I played poker in real life one time. It was embarrassingly
Poker's.
bad. I got
Oh yeah.
murked. Yo, because these guys know how to play poker, and I don't know anything about
Word.
poker. And I'm like they ate me, bro. I
Yeah, if you
lost
don't know.
so fast, bro. You're just your I left, my self-esteem was in the toilet.
I'm definitely a novice, but like I know my way around. Like, but I like when I saw it, I observed it. I was like, oh, this is how it is. This is like the game.
Yeah,
Everything's the game, man. Everything is the game. One way or another, everything is the game.
facts.
Everything, and it's scary though. It's scary, that you can't turn it off. But what if you operate knowing it all the time? That gives you some crazy power. I've only been experiencing that honestly for like the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. I kind of
Yeah.
understand that. I mean, I started to tap into it at a certain point. Honestly, though, it got focused with 48 Laws of Power. I'm not gonna lie,
That's exactly what it was, man. It opened my eyes up to a lot
Because
of
here's the
shit.
thing, look, the book is what it is. People never read the first chapter for some reason, where it's like, listen, my guy, some of y'all are naive as fuck. Honestly, it's the
Never
same
outshine
thing.
the master.
No, even before that, it's the chapter before that chapter. It's like nobody
Oh, the preface.
nobody reads the preface where it contextualizes the point of this book and who it's
Yes.
for and why it exists.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
then it's like
exactly.
fucking English professors talk shit and nobody acknowledges the preface. I read
Like it's a
Machiavelli's
guide to being a sociopath.
right.
Shit.
And I read Machiavelli's The Prince, and it's the same shit. He's like,
Yeah.
Dear Prince, you're a naive idiot. If you want to not get eaten alive by the wolves, allow me to explain the politics of power to you. He didn't know that philosophy teachers and shit were going to be reading this. It's like
Straight up.
motherfuckers who quote the Bible verbatim and contextualize it to now. It's like, Nabi. But the other thing is I'm naive like that. So I read 48 Laws of Power, and all of a sudden I understood why I was doing bad culturally at work.
Okay. Yes. That's a big part of it.
And I think people think 48 Laws of Power is supposed to be an offensive book, but it's really a defensive book.
Yes.
Art of Seduction's creepy. It's an offensive book, and it was equally as effective. My entire brand got sexier in a sense. Like I added sex into my brand after reading that book, and it's fucking like
Hell yeah.
it's like borderline a pickup artist book, but it's really about marketing.
Yeah, it's about manipulation, is what it really is.
Marketing
It's
manipulation.
about very subtle manipulation, and
It was like
it
it taught me what a
it made me
dandy
very
was.
self-aware.
It taught me I'm a dandy, and that's why I started wearing brighter colors. I'm playing with the long, like
So now you're playing it up. Now you're
absolutely.
playing, 'cause
I
you're
cranked
playing-
that
you're
shit to
playing
the
your
max.
strengths.
Cranked it up,
Yes, exactly.
and it's like it's wild shit. It's like, but yeah, it changed a lot because I was a lot more naive, and then I started seeing, and I figured that's why I started reading all these books, because I'm like, you can't argue with a book. I don't think people know
Especially
that.
if it's based off history.
No, I mean-
especially if it's based off accurate historical findings from the beginning of human civilization until now, with examples, like very, very poignant examples, like the most in history. Like what I'm talking about.
I mean, I would say you can. What I meant is more. You literally can't argue with a book. I could cut you off and argue with you all day long. Maybe I'm not listening. No, you have no choice. It's a fucking book. You just process the fucking information. Audiobooks too. You can't argue with it. You literally have to listen to the shit and consider it, and then formulate your opinion based on and that shit changed my brain. I don't know how else to put it. I'm calmer.
Oh, okay.
I'm less angry. Like, I don't know how, it's one thing I did different, because I feel like people don't train their mind, they just train their body.
Yeah. It's that's a big thing. I as a reader for a long time, like from a young kid, I always loved to read. You think differently than other people. You process the world differently, and a lot of my friends are like that too. Where they'll take a while to respond to something, and it might come off like they're being rude sometimes. Let's say, for example, like for a small example, like let's say you tell somebody something and they think about it for a while before they respond. Like there's a difference between someone like that and then someone who's just ready to attack. They always have a loaded response. which is kind of suspicious because it's like, why are you thinking that you're going to be attacked? You know what I mean? But I find that a lot of people operate that way to like justify themselves. And it's like, yo, you don't got to justify who you are, man. It's okay.
I have an answer to that. If you wanted a sincere answer, it's self-esteem.
And that's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, you know, but people got to know it's okay. You can't harp on people, but the world is a meat grinder, dude. What are you going to do? You got to adapt somehow. You got to learn, right?
Like, sometimes I think people have low self-esteem but aren't really aware of it, like how to diagnose it in a sense. So they're not they're not cognizant of it. Like, they have arrogance and they believe that's confidence.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that starts at home. That really does start at home with the parents and the family and all that, because whose job is it to raise a human being? It's the parents. It's not society's job. It's not someone else's job. It's whoever spit that baby out. That's whose responsibility it is to make sure that person, when that baby turns 18, it's not a burden to society. Because that's going to fuck our civilization up. We're not here to take care of people. We're here to add to what's already been built.
I think people, you know what I mean? It's like a shared responsibility, though. Like, history.
Not at all.
Look at other cultures, though. There are a lot of examples of communal shared efforts. Now, I think ethics and morals are probably at home and shit, but like,
that's basic. That's some basic survival shit.
Like I think like your mom should be teaching you how to read a fucking watch and how to read, but like the school should probably cover science.
Yeah, no. I mean, in the sense of like, self-esteem problems happen when you're too young to even be in control of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's psychological on another level that I'm not an expert in. You know what I mean? But it starts at home. It's like even before, it's like 3 years old, 1 year old. You know what I mean? Like on some Freudian shit with your parents. That's where that starts. And I can't even touch on that. You know what I mean? That is what it is.
All I'm saying
what can you do?
Well, that's the thing is I think a lot of people be suffering from self-esteem issues. Like, think about the mismanagement of expectation of entirely being a millennial right now. Like, you literally feel invalidated because you're not a homeowner, but the baby boomers never sold their houses because they lived too long. This is a real thing. Mm-hmm. You can actually fact check it on Google, but I can't quote where I learned it. So
I live it.
So what happened is Gen X has now officially lived. The baby boomers has now officially lived a whole generation longer than they were supposed to. So they never sold their houses to Gen X because Gen X was like, yo, I'm going to inherit that house. And that broke the entire real estate cycle of fucking affordability and has created this. You can all blame all the things like Airbnb and foreign investors, but it's a lot to just do with the fact that these old people still own their houses and they still allowed to, like, the cycle of generational life is literally 25 years longer than it was when the retirement age is 62 because people died at 57 on average, and now people be living to their 70s, and that's in a 25-30 year period of difference.
When I was a kid and there was like a cartoon and you saw like an old man, the old man was like 50, 60 years old. Now that 50, 60 year old man
is so young when he passed.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
they literally say that he's so young when he passed. I'm like, that's wild. Yeah. And then apparently, like, there were old people back in the day, so we were always able to live to that age, but we just got better at keeping ourselves alive as a collective.
Here's the thing, though, because I learned, the other day I was just watching some random shit about some dude.
Oh, I fucked up. I didn't put your links. Never mind. I'm going to get it's good.
But
keep going.
I'll elaborate on this story here. Well, this guy, back in the day in, like, medieval times, he got shot in his face with an arrow. Arrow was like 6 inches in his face, but a doctor did surgery on him and removed the arrow. This is like in the 12 or 1500s, something like that. I forget exactly who it was. It was a prince. But the point of the story, if that dude wasn't a prince, he's not living. The fact that he lived to an old age was because of the wealth that he had. You know what I mean? Of the sterile life that he lived. Because like a peasant back in those days, if you take a shit and it goes sideways, you're dead in a week.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Or look at it differently. You guys ever watch the Viking shows all over Netflix, bro? Your village, you could be sitting there, just chilling there, farming.
son Ragnar Lothbrok, you know what I'm saying?
Just you're dead. Like, you don't think about it because the protagonists are the raping and pillagers. But what if you're the raped and pillaged? Like, people
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
Bro, I don't know how
understand.
anybody wants to go back to the past. Like, or they go back to the fucking
simple days.
Like the 50s. Bro, the 50s look trash unless you were really rich and white. It looks really trash, bro.
Yeah,
you're coughing all the time. Everybody's smoking cigarettes all the day long. You know, it's not the best era. It's just got good fashion. It does have good
Back
fashion.
To the Future and shit. Oh, I want to go back to the 80s. And then my dad would tell me, man, in the 80s, these white guys would always try to beat us up and stuff. You know what I mean? It was racist back in the 80s. You don't want to go in the 80s. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. So my dad, my dad dead ass just on the opposite tip. Bro, in the 70s, girls never made you wear a condom. You could bust where you wanted all the time.
Yo.
I was like,
I don't even want to.
I was like, what? I don't know if that's good or bad, but like, the rest of the 70s sound shit. But you said that, it reminded me of that. Just how it came out. But that's a real conversation I have with my dad. And I don't know about, and then his boy was there and they were reminiscing together, bro.
Oh, remember the old bareback days. Like, yo, what the fuck?
I don't know, man. The 70s sounded wild. I don't know how good or bad it was. It was probably even more racist if you were not a white dude. But apparently it was a lot of bareback if you were.
Yeah, well, there you go, man. A lot of people probably exist because of that now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you have an album coming soon? You said you were working on something, but do you have like one, like an estimate, or is it under development?
Yes. So hopefully, I don't have a drop date yet, but I've been working on a project. It's the first installment of 3. So it's called Last of a Dying Breed Volume 1. I'm hoping to drop it before or during the summer.
All right.
It's going to be 7 tracks. I'm a producer on there. I got a couple other dudes producing on there as well. You know what I mean? I want to keep it kind of under wraps for now, but I got a single dropping actually soon as well. Just waiting to get everything kind of finalized, but this month, definitely look out for another single from me. That one's produced by Scythe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Scythe, but he's a producer out of Vancouver, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Shit, I don't know anything about the West Coast.
Yeah, so I got shit cooking up, man. A lot of stuff in the works. It's just about rolling it out now. Now's the time to decide about the roll up, and then a lot of content. You're gonna see a lot of content coming out, man. I got a lot of tunes coming out, a lot of good shit.
Are your projects conceptually tied?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's my story. It's a story that I have to tell. So the first one is the first act. Second one is the second act, and it's not like I'm telling you like it's a poem, right? So these songs are the stories. You got to listen to them, dissect them. I'm not what I'm saying at face value. That's not what it is. There's a whole story. So if you listen to the whole project, combine it with the person that you see online and the personality that you see, and then dig into it a little bit, you might find where I stand on a couple things. You know what I mean?
That's some lore shit right there. This guy clearly understands some marketing, and it's more than promo, baby. I would love to keep this going, but I actually have to go fucking freestyle in virtual reality land in 30 minutes. So
yeah, man, we've been going.
Nah, for real. If I didn't have to do this, I would have just let it keep going, bro. Like, I really I'm just trying to be like whatever. I would love to set up some shit and talk more with you, see what we can figure out, because you was super interesting and, more importantly, well-grounded dude, man. Like,
thank you, man. Respect.
In this game of music, I find it super hard to find people that are both passionate about the art but also level-headed enough to understand the difference between rapping for rappers and rapping for fans.
Yeah, definitely.
And those are like, it's just what it is. I could go on for like 100 years on that topic, but like, marketing be a wild thing. It's really about communicating to the people that your audience is, and your audience isn't you. They're the people that want to be you. And that's a big lesson. So it's like, you're not supposed to be rapping to yourself. You're supposed to be rapping to your past. I don't know if like a young you or something. So like every song I write now, it's to my past, and then it's just dope. Anyway, your shit's fire, everybody. Like he's really got like a super technical, well thought out, bars driven shit. Like you really actually do hear stories of his life and shit. Like, and if you listen, there's some interesting little personal snippets. Like I forgot what it is, but if you watch the VOD, I ask a question I'm supposed to remember to ask you, but I forgot what it was. But it was based on one of your bars where I'm like, say a word. Like I'm curious if that really happened because he said it, and it was some like obtusely specific thing, you know, like.
All right.
So it's like I don't remember what it is, but like when I will, I'll ask you later. But like.
Okay.
But like the fact is like that you have these little things tucked in is cool, and so y'all should go peep that shit and like. He's got that old school flow, is what it is. He be fucking rapping, but he's saying shit, so it's dope. Links and descriptions and all that good shit. It's Spade the Shadow on Instagram for you audio only kids out there, which there's a few of you. But yeah, I appreciate you a lot coming through. This is a wonderful conversation. I feel like, again, it was super enlightening. I didn't even know what to expect, man. And then it was just fucking fire. And
same ways, man. Much respect for having me on, man. And everybody who tuned in, too, big respect. Hope you enjoyed the talks.
Yeah, they're still with us. We're at 10, bro. We did get rated, but like that could have dipped, and it didn't really dip, bro. Like motherfuckers stuck through this, and so I appreciate y'all for real for like actually sticking with the conversation. Like it's a combination of multiple audiences in here tonight, so it's like I know it's not a huge number, but from my heart, it's like wow, this is really a cool turnout, so to speak.
Yeah, man. Salute all them. I know the Mandem are up in here somewhere, so you guys know who you are.
Turbinator. I'm saying it terrible. I'm sorry, my dude.
Turbininator.
That's it. Right there. Just said sup.
I know who that is.
We still in it. Like people be like ratting. I mean, so I appreciate y'all for real. Like heart and soul out to you guys. Anybody watching in the future, if you got this far in the video, you a fucking MVP, bro. Like MVP fucking P. Or cis, but YouTube stats say you're most likely a dude. I'm just saying. Anyway, appreciate everybody out here. I'm gonna start the raid. Yeah, do you have anything like quick you wanna like throw in as the last words?
Yo, big respect everybody who's watching. Big respect to you, Holden, for having me on. Right? Hit me up anytime. And yo, spadetheshadow.com. Check it out. Check out the merch. I got shirts. I got hoodies. You know what I mean? Soon gonna have some physical stuff up there, canvas prints, all kind of dope stuff. So go check it out. And like he said, Spade the Shadow on like any platform. Just Google Spade the Shadow.
Fact.
I'm gonna pop up.
Awesome.
So
yo.
that's what I got.
Appreciate you again, yo. And live long and prosper, everybody. Yeah.
Peace out.